embarrassingly enough, my first car, I think, was a 97 Honda Civic. So
my first car was a 97 Honda Civic. What color was it?
Red.
Oh, mine was red. Oh, my God. But it was a DX.
So
mine was a 1.5.
Mine was a DX too.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted the EX, but I couldn't.
I know. My dad would buy me the EX.
I got this. It only had like 14 or 15,000 miles on it when I got it, and it was a good little car. I only had it for a year or so, but I remember I was going to work one morning. This was the first shop I worked at. It was like 45 minutes from my job, but from my house. And I don't know, I guess I must have been out drinking or something the night before, and I had to be at work at like 7 a.m. So I'm just cruising down the fucking highway, and one of these lowboy tractor trailers like comes out, in front, and I see it too late, and I hit the brakes, and I must have slid 300 feet and just put the nose of that thing under this low boy.
Dude, I thought you were going to say you did like
watching Fast and Furious.
I thought you were going to say you're like
low boys.
But, well, I saw the tractor. I just didn't see the 50-footer trailer behind it.
Yeah. Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. I am Josh Henning.
I'm Phil Gerber.
I'm Jeremy Gerber.
Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. Today's guest, right here in studio, which are always the best. Mark Giambalvo, Creative Rod Kustom. Long time coming on this one.
I appreciate you guys having me. This is a pretty cool experience.
Well, we appreciate you making the trip, man.
You're going to have to. All right. First of all, we're going to have to start. All right. You're high. You're really high in the seat, too.
Right. See, he's riding high. Drop that.
Oh, that's a little low.
Now I'm running kind of low, though.
Yeah. Now, try to do like there. You can point it like towards your neck or your chin or whatever.
And
you can move it around wherever you want to do. If you want to lean back, you're going to talk with your hands and tell a story.
Move it.
That's a Pennsylvania thing, too, like Bill Steele and Kurt.
Yeah.
Always did.
I don't know. That's a New York thing, I thought.
Is it?
Yeah, I took it from New York.
Kurt's more like this now, right?
We'll begin now.
Now we'll get started.
Cool.
Well, before we get into it, anytime we have an in-person guest, we always give them the opportunity to give an on-the-gas shout-out. So that is now your time to give that shout-out.
Don't know a whole lot about them, but KAR Fabrication. I follow them on Instagram, and just pretty impressed by some of the stuff they're putting out. Just the body work, fit, the finish, that type of stuff looks pretty quality and impressive.
This stuff is amazing. KAR_fabrication on Instagram. Anybody that's listening right now needs to check them out. We talked about it real briefly right before and pulled the Instagram up. We were all kind of like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff. I've a couple of those things. The C10 popped up in my feed and caught my eye. He's got a lot of catchy stuff that if it just hits your feed, you're like, damn.
Yeah. Well,
that's
exactly.
nice.
Some of there's some pictures of some work on this Dodge truck he's doing, the hood sides, and just the time spent in gapping. And it's just, like I said, there's a ton of time and body and fit and finish type stuff.
Smoothing
on
the
it.
license plate there, huh?
Yeah, that dude's definitely got
Door jams, everything.
definitely got the eye for
like a
detail.
motor.
Yeah, that's nuts. Holy
Where
shit.
does anybody know where they're based out of?
I don't, but
Well, let's, you know what?
We could Google that. We have the power of Google at our fingertips.
yeah, there's not a lot. I don't know if it's getting lost, although like you just don't see that much, that people spending that much time like on the underside of a car or gapping an inner rocker panel to a frame rail and that sort of
Very
stuff.
first one.
So
Yeah, it did.
KSR.
The shift of like popularity to the survivor cars and things like that. It took away a little bit from it, but there's
yeah, and I think
still some dudes like
people wanting to drive their stuff and use it, and that has definitely changed that a little bit. So,
well, we don't know where he is from. We're taking a deep
just
dive
right on
here.
their Instagram thing, no?
California.
Reedley, California.
Reedley, California.
Yeah. There you go. Killer work, man. That is. Click on that C10 once.
We got some
That is
body mods to it.
highly modified there.
I think that's something too. I was on there the other day, like an old project, something maybe back.
Like a whole scratch built cab.
Yeah, the whole back of the cab, everything. It looks like
Yeah, that's a good pull. Really cool stuff there.
Well, what's that?
Oh, we got a Nice little RS spec chassis for what, 65 Chevelle there.
Great pull. Yeah, check them out. That's one of those that, like you said, you see so much stuff so many times. Whatever, when you come across one, you're like, ooh,
Yeah, it's tough to stand out in this day and age. So it says a lot when you get something like that, where it's Sumbi's like a one-man band, smaller operation, but
don't know.
Yeah, and
fucking crushing it.
And I don't
there.
know, like, if he has a specific award or whatever in mind for that car, but it's like, if not, like, who the hell? I mean, to spend that much time on some of that stuff and really just, for the sake of just whether it's doing it right or just to make it as nice as you can make it. And I think that's something that you don't see as much anymore.
Grand National Roadshow Show 2024.
All right, there you go. Okay, so yeah, I figured with them showing pictures of the stuff and then it wasn't going to be a Detroit car, but
underneath of this shit is nuts. That's fucking awesome.
Good stuff.
Well, Mark, they can check you out at creativerodandcustom.com or at Creative Rod and Custom with a K on Instagram. Welcome to Oil and Whiskey. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
First time whiskey drinker, Mark.
Cheers.
Clanking.
we could call it that. Yeah.
Welcome to the family.
Not normal whiskey drinker.
No. And the whiskey I've had has been shit whiskey, I'm sure. So
What do you think of this whiskey?
this isn't too bad. It's not burning my throat and that. And like I said, I didn't really know. I've just had, and to be honest with you, a lot of it, I don't drink much liquor. It's usually, could be not a bad situation. I just, we got some good stories.
Then drink up, man.
My wife and I were talking about that in the car right over. She's like, when was the last time like you drank liquor? And I had to remind her brother's house like 2 years ago, me falling down the stairs in the middle of the night and like passed out.
We don't need Frank the Tank coming out tonight, sweetie.
They've got pictures of me with no shirt on and like 20 beer cans stacked on my head. And yeah, it's just,
It's going to be one of those nights. Yeah. So you've been in town for a couple of days. Y'all been sightseeing?
Yeah. We figured, once you guys reached out about doing this, I figured if I was going to do it, it'd be cool to come in person and do it. And I don't know, I've been to Chicago before, but years and years ago, my wife and I don't think she's ever been here. And we said, if we're going to come down there, why don't we spend a couple of days? And the flights were way cheaper to come out on Sunday. So, we just hung out downtown and just found some good restaurants in that and went to a few museums. It turned out we were looking for something to do. I guess it was Sunday afternoon, and I saw the Riot Fest was going on down at Douglas Park, so we got some last-minute tickets to that, and saw a couple of bands we like, and so that was kind of cool. So
I'm sure there were other riots going on in various places in the city too, but Riot Fest.
Yeah. I kind of thought that was a unique name for it, but
maybe not the best optics there in the Chicago land area. But
no, yeah,
one of the paid ticket. You got to pay to go.
It's not a free riot.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's a great time this time of year in Chicago. It's a good time.
So, yeah, it was funny. We like going there. It was raining all day. Like, luckily it stopped when we got there, but it was just a muddy fucking mess. So we had reservations downtown at I think it was a Japanese steakhouse, like a nice restaurant. So she pushed the reservations back a little bit so we could watch this one band we wanted to see play. And so we rolled downtown, and I mean, our fucking shoes are covered in mud. We got mud on our fucking pants. The last show, I mean, everyone around us is just smoking weed. So like we roll into this restaurant, like everyone's in nice suit and ties and all that stuff. And we're just, like we said the next morning, like, man, what the fuck did we look like when we went into that place,
Where'd you go? You remember the name of the place?
It was like, it started with an A, like Car or something like that. Or it was on, it might've been on Michigan Avenue or Michigan. I forget the name of it.
There's some good spots down there.
Yeah, we pretty much every night we've eaten down there or went down there.
Roca Accor.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh,
That's what
good pull, Phil.
Yeah. Wow. I'm trying to remember the name. It's a Cara. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
Any decent bands playing there?
It's a band out of Jersey, the Gaslight Anthem. Probably one of my favorite bands. So that's how I ended up finding they were playing. I just saw on Instagram they posted up they were playing in Chicago, and I was like, oh fuck, we're gonna be there that day. So let's go.
There's some good shows out that way.
So.
Yeah, I was just down in Louisville for the Bourbon and Beyond Fest. So there's some decent bands
Playing down there. So.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
no big deal.
Whoa.
What were you doing over the weekend? Anything
Not
cool?
that.
Do anything cool?
Yeah, I was doing a bunch of cool
I mean, he was in Chicago,
Yeah.
going out to nice dinners.
I did
bands. What'd you do?
so much cool shit. I just don't talk about the cool shit I
Well,
did.
enlighten us. Fill us in.
Dude, there's not even time.
Well, let's start with Saturday night. We've got time. We got like 3 hours. Saturday night. What's a guy like Josh do Saturday night when I'm out of town? So I can't entertain you with cool shit to do.
Like FaceTiming with Joe Rogan,
Really?
just talking
Is that what
about cool shit. It's like, oh, what's up, Joe? He's like, what's up, Josh? And then it's like, hung up.
Okay.
Watched a couple shows together via FaceTime.
Yeah.
I don't even have
Yeah,
FaceTime.
none of that happened.
You don't know.
Anyway, I saw the Black Crows. That was pretty cool.
Fucking awesome.
Cool.
So we've known each other a long ass time. All of us have. You've been building some cool ass shit for a long time. However, I don't personally know the backstory of young Mark and how you made the wise decision to come into this industry and try and make a living.
Yeah.
I'll probably jump around a little bit here.
In the PA area too, there's some outstanding fabricators and some great shops out there. So to kind of stand out, be kind of at the top of that gang is pretty cool.
When I didn't grow up in PA, I grew up in New York, and so like the PA was just I guess it was almost a financial decision at one point. Like after we went into business, that the cost of trying to live in New York and run a business there and buy a building and all that stuff, I was like, this just isn't going to make sense, you know. So we started looking at places to move, and we'd always gone down to like the York Street Ride Nationals and Carlisle and Hershey Show and all that stuff. So that's how I kind of honed in on that area. I was like, there's enough car related stuff in here that maybe it's a decent place to move to in that. So, but yeah, I think like, I don't know exactly, like, I don't have like an aha moment or anything when I like know that I got into cars, if that makes sense, you know. My dad was always into cars, but not, he was a physician, so he worked a lot and stuff, and he wasn't never hands-on with cars, just always like classic cars. And growing up, he had you know, Triumphs and things like that he enjoyed driving and that. And I think we had started going to some car shows and that, and there was something in him that he maybe wanted an old truck or something like that. So probably maybe 95-ish, somewhere in there, he bought a 52 Chevy truck, and then we knew nothing. Like I said, he changed his own oil, and that's about it, you know. So it kind of was a big learning curve. We got this old truck. It was such a total piece of shit too. Like he just bought the first thing he saw in the, you know, back then it was the classified ads, you know. So he went and got it, and we realized how bad it was, and he ended up finding another one and bought another one. But being I was 12 or 13 at that point, that was my truck. Like I did not want to give that up. I didn't care how bad that was. So we ended up with two of them. So, and yeah, I just spent every night, weekend, you know, out in the garage. You know, he went out and he bought me an air compressor and like a little air tool kit from Home Depot. I still have the one cutoff wheel I think I got that was 95 or 96. The thing's still running, you know, so.
Nice.
But it just...
You don't have any guys at the shop that raid your box and try to grab that
there's a lot
tool, and you're like,
you know,
dude, anything else, don't fucking touch the cutoff tool.
Well, you know what's funny too? I haven't seen it in a couple of weeks, and we had a guy that was working for us who's not, and he was the last one I remember to use it. I'm tempted to call and be like, "Hey, do you have my cutoff wheel?" Like that's kind of a family heirloom at this point.
Some serious sentimental value there.
But and it's funny too. It's whatever it is, Campbell and Hallsfield, whatever cheap brand. Like that thing's still running after almost 25 years plus. Where half my Snap-on and other crap isn't, so it's just but so yeah, that kind of I just spent nights, weekends, all that stuff. And then same thing, I had a couple of friends in high school that were into cars, so I started spending a lot of time in their garages. And it would be a type of thing that 10th, 11th grade, just every weekend we were in one of each other's garages, just drinking beers, working on cars, and that's just kind of how it was. And I guess it was 10th grade, I went to Votech school. I was supposed to go there for graphic art. I grew up, I did a lot of art. My parents sent me to like an art school a couple of nights a week in that. And from there, I signed up to go to Votech for graphic art. And when I realized like my buddies were going and they could bring their own car there to work on it, I was like, I don't want to do art. I'm going to bring my car. So transferred over into the auto body program and then started, doing, and I had already at that point, kind of taught myself how to weld and do some other stuff. So I had a little bit of a leg up there, but just, I was one of the few kids, like everyone just fucked around all day. They were just doing stupid shit. I was one of the few kids that actually wanted to be there because I wanted to work on my car. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got my start doing that stuff. And then one of the kids that I was going to school with, he got a summer job at a shop in Long Island that all they did was build a lot of old school customs, hot rods and customs and that. And he ended up getting me a job down there that summer. And that's kind of really like the first real shop I worked in, and we were doing, I mean, I started sweeping floors and just doing all the basic stuff. I think I was making, I don't know, it might have been $7 an hour or whatever it was, but we worked 6 days a week. So on like Saturday, I could be there early because I didn't have school and that. And then through the summer I worked there. So I was the guy like getting coffee, getting breakfast for everybody and that sort of stuff, sweeping the floors. And gradually, you know, I started doing some body work, some welding, some fab work and stuff like that. And I'm trying to think, it was probably before I started actually like working on the cars there, anything major. Like I was doing a lot of tear down stuff and all that. There was one point I remember I got pulled in the office and I ended up getting let go. And I was like, you know, I think at that I was 16 or 17. I was like, couldn't even tell you what I did wrong. I was probably, you know, just being a shitty kid, but I don't know. But like I went home and I thought about it and I was so upset about it. I showed back up Monday and he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm here to work. And he's like, no, I fired you. And I was like, I know that, but like, you don't have to pay me. I'm here to work. And I lasted like, he's like,
before you go any further, did you go home and your dad made you do that?
No, I don't think
you
so.
Son of a bitch.
No, I think it was just, I didn't care. And being a kid in high school, like I didn't need the money. Like I just wanted to be there and be around that stuff. Like that's all I did was like read Hot Rod magazine and Rod and Custom and Street Rodder. I mean, I have so many stacks of those magazines from the mid to late 90s. And like, I learned a lot like from those how-to articles and stuff like that. And excuse me, but yeah, it just put me where
you were more devastated to not be around.
Exactly. That was the biggest thing. So that lasted like another month or so. And then he's like, I can't have this. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm going to have to start paying you again. So I was like, okay. So then I was working there again. And so that probably lasted like a year and a half or so. I worked there. And then one of the guys I worked with, this is like a whole nother side story, but one of my best friends in like maybe 7th and 8th grade, we used to skate every day and stuff like that. And I'd always hang out at his house and he had a mini ramp in the backyard. And his older brother had, I think it was like a 41 Plymouth he was working on, he and his dad. So like as much as like, I always wanted to see what was going on in the garage, like, and his brother working on his hot rod. So when I showed up at this shop, my first day, his brother worked there. I hadn't seen him in like a couple of years. It's like, oh, no shit, you know? So, you know, but after I ended up leaving there, I ended up getting his brother a job at the shop I went to after that. So then we worked there probably maybe another year. And at that time I was 18, I guess. And he had the idea, he was talking with some other guy about opening up his own place or whatever like that. And, you know, the typical, we can do a better job than what this guy's doing, all that sort of stuff. So I kind of tagged along with that. And then that lasted maybe about 6 months, you know, and that kind of goes back to at 18 or 19 trying to be your own boss. It
Just
doesn't
weren't ready yet.
Not at all. Like I spent way more time fucking around on my cell phone and talking to my girlfriend at the time and other stuff than actually doing any work. And I'd roll in at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning and I'd be out of there by 4. And yeah, it just wasn't, it wasn't a good situation on my end. So, but at that point, I didn't really know what to do, so I tried like a semester at college, you know, in there, and that just wasn't for me. I kind of knew that, so I ended up getting a job, like just working for a buddy of mine building mini trucks. So I'd go in there and I'd just do some welding and some body work, and he'd pay me a few $100 a day, whatever it was, you know. And then one of my friends at the time, he was working at a transmission shop, so that shop closed down, and that was in my hometown. I was like, you know what does your boss want to rent a place? So he's like, let me talk to him and that. So I ended up renting this building, and that was kind of where the business started from. So that was probably like February of 03. So just, it's a little over 20 years at this point. Yeah.
So that was,
time flies.
That was the start of Creative.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
At that point, were you like, do you have the name, the idea that you're moving forward with this business model?
So, and I don't even know if I had a business model, a plan. I really didn't have any of that probably. When I tried partnering up with those other guys, like I look back, I had like a notebook of like shit I wrote down of names for the business, and Creative Rod Kustom was one of them. So, and it was one I liked for whatever reason. So when I decided to do it on my own, that was just the one I picked. It was not something that they liked at the time, but so when I had my choice to make my own decision, I picked that. So, and the dude that was, I was doing some mini truck work for, there was a shop, he worked in this big industrial park. There was a shop like around the corner from him, and there was this 41 Ford like sitting in this back garage. And what caught my eye too, there was like an 8 or a 10 foot Chicago sheet metal brake sitting there. So I stopped in and I asked the guy if they wanted to sell the sheet metal brake. And these guys were these like total crackheads. Like they had this sketchy setup where they like lived in these it was bad. They lived above the shop and like in the shop pretty much. It was just a disaster. So they sold me the brake really cheap. So I bought that. So I asked him about the 41 Ford and he's like, well, I don't know. We'd love to get the fucking thing out of here. Like, do you want the guy's number? So I ended up calling the guy and kind of explained the situation. And I said, I'd be interested in building the car for you if you want. And so that was my first customer. So that pretty shortly, like right after opening up, that was the first car that came in the shop. So, and it was an absolute disaster. So we, it needed all the typical. I think we bought the panels from EMS or whatever, like the trunk floor, the floor pans, rockers, all that sort of stuff, door bottoms.
You get a bitchin' firewall for it?
Yeah, it was either bitchin' or EMS or one of them, But so, and I never.
EMS was the white lab coats, right? At the shows, or was that
no? That was
EMI.
EMI.
Is that who? Is
It was
it
Experimental Incorporated or something. They did the Tri-5 bodies.
okay? So is it EMS that does the sheet metal stuff? I'm thinking of. Maybe I'm saying their name wrong. So
I thought it was EMS that wore the thing because they had all the lab coats and all the sheet metal floors and.
I don't.
Like
I just bought stuff from them too for
That's a long time
for a 53 I'm working on, and I can't even remember the name of their company. But I'll never forget that car. Like the rear floor pans and the trunk floor, it literally had pieces of sheet metal the size of playing cards, like overlapping each other and tack welded. Like there must have been
shingles.
It's exactly. Yeah, there must have been 200 little pieces of sheet metal. Like I could never figure this out. Like it was totally. Yeah, it makes no sense the amount of time somebody would spend like layering and tack welding little pieces of like scrap metal together to patch a trunk floor. But
It's cheaper than buying one big.
apparently, so.
Somebody's uncle had some business where they had scrap of these
drops.
little 3x5 cards and yeah.
But so yeah, we worked on that and it had a 78 Caddy front clip in it, and that was a disaster with Caddy V8 in it. So it comes out that I'm like, this is a fucking disaster. We need another chassis for the car. So I started looking for a chassis, and couldn't find one. So then I come across an ad in Street Rider magazine for the Roadster shop. So 41 to 48 Ford chassis.
We were the only ones.
Only
at
ones.
the
I think
time,
we're
yeah.
still the only ones to do 41 to 48.
So anyway, I that would have been sometime in 03, beginning of 04. I bought a chassis from you.
Damn.
Or it wasn't probably. Was it? Did you guys own it at that
we
point? Or it was
started,
probably. I kind of feel like.
May of 04.
Okay, so was Bill the old owner?
Yeah.
Is this? Yeah, I think
So
maybe I talked to him. Or
I
don't-
probably built it then.
You probably built that frame, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was my first Roadster Shop chassis. Yeah.
I wonder where that car is today.
I got it to the point where we put a small block in it and that, and I got it to the point where it was in final primer, and then he had like, I don't know, I can't even remember. I just remember I hated his idea for the paint job on the car and all that, and we kind of just said, okay, well, I'll let you take it from this point. So yeah, that car left in final primer, but so.
When you
It was
got
a
that,
two-tone candy brandy wine and
He wanted like
pearl white.
it was no, like I'm not even making this up. He like literally wanted like airbrushed hands or something like coming over the front fender. Like it was something really like it was so fucking weird.
Why didn't you want to do
I
it?
can't
It
imagine
seems
why, right?
weird. You weren't. You weren't into that.
Not a good first build to hang your name on.
Yeah, I'm just like so that was we kind of parted ways on that, and
how did you go about the money side of that thing being the first build? It's your business. Is it you've established a labor rate that I'm sure that
yeah, it was
you came up
probably
with?
really, and I can't even remember like. It was never enough. Like I think back to like some of the first cars I painted at that shop. I'm gonna charge $2,500 or something like that, and I can't even remember what our labor rate was or how it was kind of a disaster. And until probably a year or so in, my wife we were dating when we started the shop, and she was working in like a medical billing office, and it probably wasn't the best idea, but she just kept let me come work for you, all that stuff. So she kind of started actually just help me out in the shop, just doing all sorts of stuff. And then she kind of eventually took over like the invoicing and that sort of
Said,
stuff.
Hey, we've
And
got to actually make money.
well, it
doing
was
this.
just all handwritten on paper. Like none of it made any sense, So yeah, she like got a computer program and started actually like, somewhat doing it how it should be. So, but yeah, and it like the first couple of years were just like a disaster as far as that went, because I have no background in any of that. I just knew how to work on cars, and that was it. So,
What's the thought process? Just jumping in without any customers, starting your own business? Is it you're going to figure it out as you go?
yeah, I guess I've never
Didn't think that far in
It's-
advance.
no, I don't-
It's
Yeah.
lack of thought process.
yeah, I
really,
guess I
probably,
tend to jump into a lot of things, which in a lot of aspects, like I overthink stuff and I don't make rash like decisions, but I guess with certain things I do, like I'm always like, I'll figure that out down the road. But I really don't know, to be honest with you, because that wasn't until we rented the building and all that we got that first customer. I mean, I had some side stuff I was working on in my parents' house and that, but it wasn't just little rust repair stuff and like that. It wasn't any hot rod stuff. So, and we hit up a bunch of local car shows and had made some flyers and that sort of stuff. And I don't know, the guy that worked at the local auto parts store, I was in there one day and he had a 55 Chevy and I guess that was like a stalled project. So I ended up bringing that in, put quarters on it, did the bodywork, paintwork, and that. And then his dad had a 56, so next thing I was doing that car for him. And it just kind of, it grew pretty quickly. And then I remember this guy one day comes by. I must have had a car sitting out front, probably within the first year being open. And he comes, he starts talking to me about his cars. And he goes, I got this 56 Ford Ranch wagon that I'd like you to see or whatever like that. So I never met this guy before. And I get in his car and I'm driving to his house with it. And my wife's like, what are you fucking getting some guy's stranger's car and you're just going with him to his house now, But so he showed me this 56 Ranch wagon and we ended up building that for him and that, it was just, kind of escalated like that pretty quickly. So, but it was different level stuff. I think it wasn't like that 56 was a nice car and it's won some awards in that and stuff. And I always liked the car. I never felt it got like the appreciation maybe. And I hated the wheels though. He made me put torque thrusts on it. He could not I just felt that's not what that car needed, But
it was the first 10 years of our existence was fighting every customer to not put torque thrusts on.
Yeah. We were pushing the profile collection from Billet pretty hard.
I think anything would have looked better on this car. Like I really think that's what killed the car, So, and it's funny, like it did all right at some shows and some good guys awards and stuff like that. But the guy ended up selling it, and somebody down south bought it, and they put totally different wheels on it. And then this has got to be like 6-7 years ago. I see pictures. Ended up winning like top 25 down at Shades that year and stuff. And I was like, it just needed different wheels that made the difference, So,
man, I feel like in those early years, do you guys agree or remember any of this? Like you found yourself in the strangest places, in the strangest situations. Like he said, you're in the car with some dude, driving out. I remember being like random dudes' garages that you drove like across town for.
I remember doing it at shows. Being at a show and having something and that guy we're all hustling. Right. We're all trying to make it. And that guy comes along and he's like, I want to build this and we're going to do this, blah, blah. My house is only 30 minutes away. And I'd love for you to, all right, yeah, let's go now.
Right. Just
hop in the truck.
Here's some lotion. Put it, rub it on the skin.
Nothing weird or nothing.
Just a few beers.
I think it's, and even like now when you talk to a customer about a new build, it's just exciting. And I don't know if it's, do you get tired of staring at that same car every day for a year, whatever it is. It's just when you talk to somebody about a new build, it's exciting. So I think that was the same thing back then, that especially trying to grow a business, that you had this opportunity, and back then, I mean, I don't know, 2004, maybe it was like, $100,000 car, like that was a high dollar project to get in,
That's
so,
huge.
that was the thing. So when I go to this guy's house and he's got, I think he had it might've been after we started a project. So, cause we were probably working on it already. I think it was in 05, like he just bought a Ford GT and I'm like, like you start like seeing some of his other cars and like, all right, this guy has the money to let me build this thing the way I wanted to. And that's just an exciting thing. I think that, now I look back at, like I said, what we, got paid to build some of this stuff. It's incredible how
that guy was obviously doing pretty well.
Oh yeah. Well, but that's the thing. Yeah. Like,
it's like a reoccurring theme. There's a lot of Ford GTs.
I wasn't even going to go. I was going to,
you were gonna blow past it.
I was gonna let you have it.
The price of a GT back then was a lot less, I think, too.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's like
still a GT.
Yeah. You don't have an old GT, a new GT,
no GT,
a used GT, a shitty GT,
not even a Mustang GT like you said. Right.
Yeah, but I've always find it interesting. We've had this same discussion. We've all got very similar stories too on the customer's end. We had Barry on. We talked a little bit about it. Him coming in and what he saw. I'm always I would love to kind of know and have a cross section of all these customers that were first timers from all these different shops, and if we could get the truth of like, did you see something in him greatness wise that you're like, oh, this is gonna be fucking awesome, and I'm so glad that I'm getting in, kind of at the entry level, or is it more of like, I know this dude's gonna build badass car, and he has no idea.
He's going to do it. He's going to do it cheap. It's probably a little bit of both.
I know it's a little bit of both, and it's funny how you get like you said that guy was like, these are the wheels that are going on it, right? And I think there's enough shops out there that are listening to this that are going to understand. This is going to come off sounding a little rough, but it's just the truth. You know, at that point in time, you really didn't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
He was saying, I'm paying you. I've been to your shop. You don't have a lot of other stuff going on, right? These are the wheels that are going on it.
Yep.
Right. And then over time, you build a little bit of clout. One, because you've built enough cars. You've won these awards. Now people are coming to you because they saw those other things. And they're like, I want Mark's touch. I want Creative Rod and Kustom's touch. I've seen the things that you've done. So do that. And same thing. Come to the roadster shop. They come to these shops. Every shop's the other thing. But it's funny when they get, there's always that, not always, but there's sometimes those things of like, no, that's the wheel that's going on it. And you kind of have to kind of push back. Like, look, you came for a reason.
In the early days, you don't have, like you said, you don't have the leg to stand on. You don't have the ability to push back. We found ourselves in that position constantly for probably like the first 8 years of business.
Yeah.
And Phil's usually like pretty good. And like Phil has to deal with it like twofold because he's got to deal with the customer and then he's got to deal with me when he comes out and he's like, yeah, the guy says we got to airbrush running stallions on the side of the hood sides. Like there's fucking louvers on them. You can't. Just tell him you can't. The guy's like, oh, I already talked to Mike LaValle and he says he can't. Like, well,
shit.
Yeah, damn it. Like,
Well, and they're definitely worse. And it's funny, like this year, for the first time in a long time, I found myself back in that same situation. I got a car we're doing for a guy, and it's a '66 Vet, nice car, but he wanted these wheels on it, and he wanted a certain color, and he's never built a car before, and it's just a new experience for him. But the answer was like, I'm paying the fucking bill. That's what I want. And finally, I'm like,
that hurts sometimes.
Yeah, but finally, I'm like, whatever, fuck it, I don't care, But then sometimes that.
Well,
it puts the car
other side. That's the other side of the mountain.
Yeah,
right. Because I mean, talking real, there's at the point where you're gonna work too late and not charge enough. You're gonna go along with the customer's ideas and not push enough to get your vision out there, right? Because you've ultimately got to do what you got to do. Then you start continuing. Then you start getting a little bit of the clout, and you've got we just won this award, and that's why you came. Blah blah. You're coming to me, I'm going to build my vision, right? We're going to do all this kind of stuff. Well, then at a certain point, the ball gets rolling. You've got enough employees, you got stuff. You got to make a living, right? So it's a business. So if the guy's like, yeah, I want fucking torque thrust, you're like, well, I got 17 cars being built. Like, that's fine if you want torque thrust on that. They all don't, because not that you've lost passion, but you also realize that wheel choice and winning that award doesn't pay any of those guys that are out there.
And that's exactly
pay any
it.
of those fucking bills. Like, why fall on your sword for something that
I get? Yeah,
it's a business at that point.
You hear a lot of average people say stuff like that. Like,
well, it gets the. I think that's kind of.
I get it. Like it's still, I feel like
Every car's not gonna be riddled.
Right. There's certain cars you look at and yes, and sometimes it's interesting because you find yourself like almost being corrected. Like maybe you were wrong in certain situations, or maybe there was a decent wheel choice that wasn't yours, right? Like we're finishing up the 67 Impala convertible Survivor car, and it's got an American Racing rally wheel on it, which probably wouldn't be something that we would usually use. And to be honest with you, it's got a red line tire on it. It looks really good. Like there's almost nothing that would have looked better on it. And to me, I'd have held my ground on that to be like, no, it needs we should probably reach out to like EVOD or if Greening do like a hubcap style wheel that's appropriate to it, and they'll be really bad at. But
that's not being average though.
Yeah.
That car, the customer is going to be super fucking thrilled and happy for what he wants to do with that car. You're not going to go take it down to an award and have another builder be like, that's fucking bad.
I guess I'm kind of agreeing with you is that like you concede to some of those things and you just, you realize, it is a business and there's a price point on that wheel and that's the right wheel for that car. And sometimes it works out.
And the thing that gets me too, like it's a set of shot wheels. I mean, it's a $9,000 set of wheels. It wasn't like it was a cheap wheel like that. And that's kind of thing. But not, and the guys in the shop have kind of, tried to help me. Like they're like, not every car has to be, not has to be an award winner, but it's not going to be every other car. It's not going to be, Street Machine of the Year or whatever. Not every build is going to be that. And that's kind of been a little hard for me to not like want to push and just do the best I can or not, just give every project or all. Like, there are people out there that are spending good money and just want a little bit of a cookie cutter car. And that's not really what we do, but I kind of started to realize that, okay, you know what, if he wants it this color and he wants this wheel and he's willing to spend the money on the car, like, let's just build him his car. Cause I've been in situations before where I've started to build my car, not the customer's car, if that makes sense, and that's not, always a good situation either. So
there's something to be said for being successful, because you're not going to change the quality. The quality is going to be there. That's the thing that doesn't change, right? Yep. Now, it might not be your 100% vision, and you're not going to go to do the running boards and smoothing and shave the transmission and shit like that, right? Because obviously that's for a different level.
Yep, sure.
But I've taken it to tattoo. I'm looking at some of the work you've got on your arms, right? I know several guys that are in the tattoo industry, right, that are wildly talented. Some of the best that there is, travel all over the world. And there's two different camps. There's a guy that's saying, I'm doing my shit, and that's fucking it, right? And then you got a fucking pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, right? And they're falling on their sword of saying, it's my shit, right?
Wildly talented.
Wildly talented.
Some of the best tribal armbands.
Some of the best, the best shit that's out there, crazy, right? But then you've got some other guys that are as talented, right? They will also, when the guy comes in, is like, I want number 4. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. I'll do number 4. He's going to still do a great job. The quality is going to be good.
Sure.
Right? But it's going to be whatever the flash art is. And some of the flash arts he's drawn and some of the stuff.
I'll do you Marvin the Martian.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, you want peace in Sanskrit? That's fine. Put it on the back of your neck. Whatever. Because, like you're saying, once you start getting a little bit more mature, you've got a family to provide. You've got 7, 8, 9, 30 employees that they have families to think. And you can't go to them and be like, well, that guy's pulling the job, and I will find some more work. What's happening? Whatever. I told him, those aren't the fucking wheels that Creative's putting on that car. That doesn't make them feel real fucking good.
Right. And I think that's like part of the thing, maybe just with our artistic people in general, like, we're not maybe the best business people because we're so passionate about something, and it's just like, we want to make something a certain way or so perfect. Like, I'll put so much of my time or my guys' time into a project just to have something the way I want it. And like this car, like you said, the quality's still there. I mean, and I'm looking at, I see other cars, like, what people are charging for stuff. And then I'm like, and I'm giving a value almost for the amount of time and effort we've put into the body and paint on some of these vehicles and stuff like that. So everything's still there as far as like the quality in that, but it just may not be, it's not the car that, and not that we're ashamed to put our name on it by any means. It's a very nice car. It just isn't going to be the next Street Machine of the Year or something. And that, and it's like every year we're like, all right, what's going to be done for next year? What are we showing? What, it's always in our mind, where there's a lot of other shops who probably, I guess, better business people than, like they're not so focused on that as much as they are of just building a good product and getting paid for it, where sometimes I throw the getting paid for it out the window because I'm more concerned about just what,
Well, you're limited to how many cars you can actually produce a year. In most shops, it's 1 or 2 a year, and you're working on them for 4 or 5 years. So you're putting all that sweat equity into it, and that's like almost your time to shine is what you produce. Exactly. And you don't have 100 of them that you're cranking out every year. So if you have 1 or 2 bad ones, like, those kind of go away. So it's your business card, it's your calling card, it's everybody's impression of your company. And we've seen it a million times. Like, you'll put something out, and whether you do it on a budget or to the customer's taste, like guys in our industry, it's like, oh man, did you see that shit that they put out? That thing was horrible. Like, it wasn't really
people said that about it.
Not about you.
It's funny. Like, I'm always more concerned, like, because the average customer, like, they don't know what they're looking at. I hate to say that. I mean, some do, but it's like, I'm always more concerned about what other people in the industry like see looking at our work as far as that, what I mean? So, that's like,
so that's a great point.
Because I am that, like,
that's a good talking point.
I hate to say it. I'm like, my wife says I've ruined her, like, going to car shows. Like, she just can't, like, you can't even look at a car anymore and appreciate what's there. Your eye just constantly goes that one little negative thing, you know what I mean? And it's just, it's kind of bad. It takes the fun out of it a little.
You can't look at a new car without picking up
that's
paint imperfections and gaps.
But that's an interesting point when you say that, because I feel like for the longest time, that was what everybody was building cars for, was not necessarily the customer, but for the peers in the industry, right? And there wasn't an outlet until I think like the Survivor cars became kind of popular, that you could do something that wasn't so focused on fit, finish, and style. And like there's great savings and you're giving a customer probably the car that they wanted. But before that trend, like if a first gen Camaro came in to the Roadster shop, you didn't know, there's no other way to approach it other than like, well, I mean, we'll probably shoot for like Street Machine of the Year.
Yeah,
you know, like
That was going to kill the fucking industry.
right. That was,
It was the wrong way of going about it.
it was. And the customer's expectations probably weren't, you know, the direction that that car went. But you didn't have any other way to really like approach it, because if you turned out something that was just like super average, you'd be looked at as being super average in the industry, almost looked down upon. It's like, do you see that fucking thing that the Roadster shop built?
Well, I was, I guess it was in Nashville a few weeks ago. I was talking to somebody, and I have an appreciation for patina cars and stuff like that, and I almost feel like part of it is because you know they're going to be fucked up looking, like they're going to have scratches and dents and rust. So like you look past that and you can just look at the car.
You don't have to clean it.
Well, but you can just look at it for what it is, and it's got a killer stance or whatever it is. Like it's just a cool car. Where it's like there's so many cars at these shows that you instantly start looking at the imperfections in them, and you can't appreciate the car. Where I feel like that, you know, it's going to have imperfections. They're in your face. Like there's nothing to hide there. So, like I find myself. And it may also be because we work on a lot of nice high-end cars. Like I find myself, like if I take any pictures at shows, they're usually of some like cool, like, you know, bag patina truck or something like that. They're usually not of nice cars. So,
Dude, you know who's Henry at Steadfast is finding that like absolute sweet spot where he's those two trucks that he had with 55 to 59s. They're patinaed, and they're pretty heavily patinaed, but he's a badass fabricator.
High end.
And he's got like just enough really kick-ass fab to make you look at that and be like, that's sick. Like there's something super high-end, super custom.
The one
about
of them,
that.
You don't notice half of it until you keep like looking. Oh shit! Look at that little pan underneath the bumper. And
Right.
the teal one was recently in my buddy Chris's upholstery shop getting some work done. I was down there looking at it, and it's just a badass little truck. But like my first glance, I'm like, you know, looking at some of the paint imperfections, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And then he told me it was like a 20-year-old paint job on it. I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's awesome, you know?
That's what we're all, I mean, I think that it's great that the industry's taken the direction that it's taken now. There's always going to be the high-end, crazy, wild stuff. That's great. That's what pushes everything forward. But at the same time, to your exact point, we've brought it up 100 times. The quality stays where the quality is, but living up to those customers' expectations is the main point, right? That's what's got to be done. So if the guy comes in and he wants a really cool driver Camaro, you don't have to, and this is for all shops out there, you don't have to push him into shaving the transmission to go for Street Machine of the Year or something like that when the guy wants to take his wife and little dog for a ride. You know, that's, I wanted to go back on what you're talking about, though, like talking about wheels, colors, any of that stuff. Isn't it funny how all of us, employee-wise, any of us that are working in the shop, no matter what we're doing, we have to have that vision of the final product in our head to keep us pushing forward, right? So as soon as that guy's like, hey, I was thinking, me and my wife were talking, this is a badass, you know, hand-built 36 Roadster, something like that, but we want to do it mauve. Well, instantly, the guy shaping that fender, when he tears this mauve, he's like, fuck, I don't want to. Up until that point, when it could be any color, or he had like 3 or 4 colors in his head, he was like,
he was
awesome,
amped up,
and he had fuel in his gas tank, and he was wheeling it. And now, you're like, hey, it's gonna be mauve. The vision he puts in his head now kills his drive.
I
instantly.
actually think it'd kind of look cool in mauve.
I'm having a problem envisioning mauve. I don't know what mauve is.
It's like your grandma's like blinds or
Rose.
drapes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like almost like a dusty pearl color, right?
Yeah.
So
I agree with you on
it's
that.
so
you know,
fucking crazy how you have to have that vision, and it's kind of like everything's gonna kind of go that direction, and then you'll do anything. You'll jump off the fucking cliff for it.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, I'm thinking about doing torque thrust. Oh, fuck.
No, it's true.
I was putting the radio in. I'm not even putting the radio in anymore.
But then,
torque
but
thrust.
then there's certain cars that you recreate the torque thrust as a full-on custom wheel because you know that's the right wheel for the car.
for it.
Right.
But no, I've
We've come
noticed
full
that
circle.
Isn't it wild?
even guys that work for us, like there's certain projects like when they take a turn that they weren't expecting, or that's what the customer wanted. You can see that their enthusiasm in that project isn't there anymore. And like we don't do very many restorations. I have one customer, really good customer. We've done 8 or 10 cars for the past probably like 6 years, and he'll bring me something to build, just whatever I want. And then if he picks up like a rare muscle car, he's like, all right, this has got to be a stock resto. But and we'll do it. I mean, he pays good. He's an awesome customer, just super awesome guy. But you could tell like the enthusiasm there isn't in the shop, like work, because that's not what the guys want to be working on. But it goes back to, like you said earlier, like at the end of the day, like you still do need to pay bills, and that's where it's that's always a tough thing, because there's stuff that in the past that, whether it was a wheel, a valve cover, like a certain way I wanted to do something like that, we had a car years ago we did that I wanted. It was something with the motor. I don't know if I wanted to smooth the motor out, whatever it was, and I told the guys, like, I'm like, this needs to happen. I'm going to do it. If you like it, I'm going to charge you for it. If you don't, I'm not. And I just did it all, and he loved it. And I was like, okay, good. Like, but there's so many things like that I've given away over the years just because I felt that's what that car needed. And that was going to make that little bit of a difference, so.
Well, as you get older, and I think maybe a little more intelligent about those things, you figure out creative ways to still get to that final goal.
Yeah.
Like a good example is today, Casey Wegner was by here. Casey's a good buddy of mine, and I was just talking about doing the motor for John Hall's truck for the F100, right? And that's a pretty high-end truck. It's, very, very detailed. But I said, Casey, man, don't you have, you got, a young kid or something at the shop that, maybe somebody that, you could, like a grunt, somebody you could say, deburr that block. That you could just park in the corner with a die grinder, and a bunch of abrasives and smooth that fucking block out. A
couple months later, come back.
Yeah, because it'll come back. That's the kind of thing. Maybe it's just talking them into it or punishing that kid, but it comes at no cost to the customer or the roadster shop. There's ways of skinning that cat, and getting
it. I'll tell you
whether it's right or wrong. Right?
It makes such a world of difference on a project. I feel like, though, especially on a high-end car, like just smoothing that block out. Like you could look at
see so much of it.
Oh yeah, especially on something like a Roadster or something that
doesn't matter.
You could look at two small blocks like side by side, and not like the average person doesn't know why that one looks so much better.
Yes.
But it's just because that motor's been smoothed out and stuff, and it just makes such a difference in a car. And Jerry's Model A, we smoothed that motor out. We have so much time in that thing, and I started looking at the hours, and I think if I charged half those out, it would have been a lot, because you're just like, all right, how can I just keep charging days and days and days of doing this? But it was just something I felt that had to be that way, so.
Yes.
Not always the smart business decisions, but I do that stuff a lot just because I feel strongly about something. So.
Oh, it's fun. Like you said, you'll keep going because you feel so strongly about it. But I'm still processing the fact of how our minds work, that we're completely derailed when just the slightest change in whatever our mind's eye vision is, and the problem, I guess it's from the creatives or the driven mentality or something like that. The difficulty we have in pivoting around that direction, And
you're saying once you have that vision in your head.
Once you have that vision in your head, it's kind of like that's the vision, and it's very difficult. Right. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Sometimes the outcome, it always works. It's just funny how I think anybody that's in doing what we're doing, or any creative space, or anybody that's driven to, they can see things, right? They can see it in their head, right? And some people can articulate that to others, very well. Some people have to have rendering. Some people have to do whatever it is. But when that is altered, it changes your fuel. It's not even car related stuff. Like maybe with my wife, or making plans, whatever, we're going to do a concert, and we're going to do Chinese, right? So that's kind of like I've painted the picture.
Where's this going? Is this getting weird? Is this going to get weird?
No, it's not going to get weird. But then hey, that restaurant closes. We're not going to be able to make it in time. We're going to go do something.
You should see the temper tantrum that comes next.
Well, in my head, because if we've been talking about it for 3 months, in my head, I'm kind of like, well, we've already made the plan. And I was like, well, fuck, I don't even want to go now. If we're not going to go do this and go, what I'm saying? And it's funny. You always adapt and you do. Sure. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I paint those things in my head of exactly, down to, it's going to look like this. It's going to sit like this. It's going to have these wheels. It's going to look like this, and it's going to do this.
I think in a sense, it's like having that vision and pushing to execute it. Like Jerry's Model is a great example. Like that car could have gone two directions. That car could have been a rat rod. Yeah. Like it could have been just a hammered Model A, and everybody would
I almost feel like that's
painted satin black.
Maybe what she wanted originally. I don't know.
But it went to being like
all lost money.
Right. It went from that to being that to no bullshit. Just because you're here, that's probably top 5 one of my favorite cars ever built. Like I fucking love that car. And I'm assuming you had some sort of vision of the way you wanted that car to go.
Yeah,
and you executed
No, I
it,
definitely
right?
did, and I think some of the stuff like, and I think that's where trying to maybe steer her in certain directions, and you guys probably maybe had to do that a little bit too, like with maybe the original stance and stuff she wanted out of the car, because I think, I almost feel like that dragging ass on the ground rat rod thing was her original like kind of vision, and so then it's a matter of and I think also too like with her like history. With like the show circuit and the things she does with like the Pittsburgh World of Wheels and just the indoor shows and that, I just knew the car needed to go to a certain level. I felt like for what, for her to be happy with it too, but there were a lot of things like looking at the initial like thought process of her of like, okay, well, how can we refine this a lot, and then looking at the, the work you guys did with the chassis and the floors and some of that stuff was just such an awesome starting point that like just pushed that, car pretty far forward. And, but I look at a lot of the stuff. I have a 32 two-door that I've been building quite a few years for myself and getting nowhere with. But a lot of ideas, like some of the roof stuff, I started looking at that car and some of the ideas I had for that, and that's where some of that came from. And now I'm looking at my own car and I'm like, I might as well just build a rat rod for myself. Like I have nothing to go through all this craziness.
This costs way too much.
Yeah, and a lot of that. There's so much in this, business that's just problem solving type stuff. So like if I, with that wood structure and that roof, like I had an idea, but I didn't know how I was getting there, and then it was a matter of, okay, well, how can we accomplish what's in my head here, So that was a big thing on trying to figure out how to do all that stuff and either do it efficiently or do it with the equipment we had available to us, so.
Yeah. Well, the roof structure was cool because I was actually looking at that and I was like, oh, that's clever the way you ran the wires for the dome light, because it was probably one of those things you talk about problem solving. You probably looked at that and you're like, man, how could I bore straight through this long ass piece of wood?
And the way it's done, it's actually, it's all layered together like a skateboard. So we could have routed a groove and put it in, but I started looking at like, a factory roof structure. You tear a Model A apart or 32, like it's got that cloth wire just running through there, and that's, I kind of wanted to see that. I just thought it'd be kind of neat to see it. But and that was, we looked at, steaming the wood and building like a steam box. We looked at various different ways to do it. And then I guess I was just looking at a skateboard deck one day and I was like, you know what, why don't we just layer it and glue it together? It's going to take its shape. So we just built a metal structure there. And I think there's like 90 pieces of black walnut. And I had a local Amish cabinet maker. They took a black walnut beam and they ripped it down. It was 1/8 inch thick by 6 inch by 8 foot long pieces. And then, and I didn't have a way to scan it or anything. So my brother, he built a grid on the roof there and just measured every point on it and then put all that into a computer and basically built a file of what that structure should be and then broke it down into layers. So then that got sent to the water jet guy, and I didn't know you could water jet wood, but they laid all that wood out there on the water jet and they water jetted all the pieces out, and then we took them back and layered them and glued them, and sure enough they dried and then in the right shape,
and then old Jebediah laid it up and sanded it all down and finished it.
So it was a lot of we used a router to clean all the edges up, get all the glue off of it and that. I think there's about 9 coats of clear on there to fill in all the wood grain and that and stuff. So and that's the stuff too where like you start thinking about that one idea, and then you pitch it to a customer and they like it, and then you're like, oh shit, now I got to like figure out how to do this, and then you start adding like the hours up of what like in your head you never thought you'd have 250 hours building this wood structure or whatever it is, and then what the cost is going to be, and I'm sure the customer doesn't at that point either, and then they reflect back on, oh man, was that a good decision? Was it worth the amount of money? So but
the finished product is though.
What's the wheelbase on that car?
It was 106.
I think, as I say, 106 or 107. I know it was stretched a little bit, so.
We tried to keep it pretty close to 32, so that those things start looking like.
Well, and that was hard too, like being a sedan and it being chopped, like the car starts to get long looking, and that's, so I ended up running that, I guess it's a 25 lever hood in it. It's got a couple extra levers than a regular 32 hood. And when I talked to Rootlieb about doing that, they just sent me, they just punched them in a blank panel. And he's like, it's not going to fit a Model A. And I was like, no, trust me, it's like the right amount. And it enabled to just fill that out a little bit and not make it look so long. So
remember all those arguments we used to have with Rootlieb doing all the 32 stuff? It was constantly just send them, don't break them, don't run the beat. We just want the louvers, and they're not going to work, and you're going to have to do this. And
Yeah, no, that's exactly. And we ended up ordering 2 sets because we fucked one up somehow. I don't remember what we did. We got something wrong, so it's like, all right.
I just think that car is so fucking well executed. Like, it's understated. There's so many areas where you could have gone like over the top. I fucking dig that thing. I actually have a confession that it was sitting in our booth at the Triple Crown, and I'm like looking around, and the door's open on it, and I'm looking around. I'm like, kind of sneak over there, sit in it. Like,
I had to take a picture of it.
And I've never done that. Like, that's obviously a no-no, right? You don't go fucking getting in people's cars, but I'm like, this thing is so cool.
Segue. There's something else we did at the Triple Crown late that night that
We did.
not a lot of people know about.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. I got a little nervous about that. I thought we upset Bobby, but
Yeah, he was fine.
okay.
You didn't seem too nervous.
Well, it was exciting.
You seemed like it was really.
It's kind of one of those things you just ask for forgiveness afterwards.
His him and Toby's face as we were coming back through there.
Yeah.
Oh, we were all standing around hanging out. Whose idea? Somebody who came up with that idea?
Mike's.
Mike, yeah, Jesse's buddy
Mike's.
Mike.
Yeah, of course.
Say Mike or Finney.
And it didn't take. That took absolute like zero persuasion.
No,
to get everybody.
that was.
It was like, oh, we're going on the track. Oh, fuck yeah.
Well, I think he started. It was he offered him a beer, a beer to let us hang out a little bit longer, right? Maybe, and the guy didn't want to drink, and then 2 seconds later, it's.
You think we can go out on the track? Yeah. You can bring 4 cars. Like, we got 8.
Well,
He
it's
said,
fun.
"You've been drinking." He said, "I haven't even drank it yet. I just opened it."
I started counting. I was like, all right, I gotta get the fuck out here in front because if he cuts it off, I don't want to be the guy that's left out. So
That was so fucking cool.
Anyway, for people that weren't there, we talked the track official into letting 8 cars go around the track at Nashville Super Speedway.
Yeah. What's it? 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
about
awesome.
that. So that was fun.
And then y'all just kept like going. Like it was
We kept going.
It felt like we were going so much faster than I'm looking back at like videos. I'm like, man, I don't think we were going that fast. Like it seemed like we were going like
Troy was going faster.
Yeah, Troy was going. So obviously you do the standard.
Troy
Like
Gudge.
you've done enough
UBT.
Like good guy shows that when you do get to go out on track, you fall back, right? Because you got the lead car.
let the pace car
Yeah,
back.
you fall back so you can get like at least one hot lap. And me and Troy are thinking the same thing. I'm in Brent's 70 Chevelle. Troy's in the 66, 67 Chevelle. So we get up next to each other, and Troy just absolutely fucking dusts me. I mean, blows the fucking doors off of that 70. That thing's fast. But that was fun.
We got I guess once we got out on there, I was following Jesse, and I got on the Model A, and I just felt the ass end kick sideways on me. I was like, oh, this is going to be like interesting, But it did all right out there. But then I think towards the end, I think Jeremy, you ended up flying. You kind of got in front of me and in between me and Jesse, and then I could just hear the debris coming up. I was like, shit.
Hey, you got to drive them, Sorry, Jerry. Yeah, I mean, you get out, like, it's funny how those banks just send you. Like, you instantly feel like cold trickle out there. You just want to do 200 miles an hour. And I didn't want to, like, lay into the fucking brakes, so I just kind of took the outside and took them on the high side.
Did you have
Carried
a
momentum.
set of special match tires?
They're special tires. I don't know if they're matched, but they're special. Sidewalls are shaved and everything.
Yeah, then that turned into, it was a good time. And then we're all, I don't know if you guys had left maybe a few minutes before us. So we all piled in the back of Mike's truck to go out to the trailer park. He's like, I'll give all you guys a ride, right? So Jesse and he are in the front, and Vinny and his girlfriend and myself. And I don't know if Troy was with us. My wife's sitting on the tailgate, and we're going, we're just driving out, going slow, and Mike stops in the tunnel and decides to do a burnout. And so he does that, and the fucking truck takes off, and my wife just stayed in midair and just lands on her ass and just tumbled down the fucking track. Yeah. So, that was kind of the talk of, nobody would leave her alone the next day about it. But,
She bounced pretty good?
I guess. And she messed her sunglasses up in her elbow, and that was it, and she managed not to spill her beer the whole time. So that was, but
key.
I think the truck just went forward, and she might have stayed, but afterwards she's like, you realize, like, not only did you not like try to help me, you didn't even get out of the truck. Like afterwards, I had to walk my ass back there, and you were just still sitting down. I was like, yeah, all right. Well.
Be a rough night for you.
Yeah. Fucking Mike brings the energy to car shows.
He does. Anybody that's out there that's listening, that honestly, the car shows themselves, kind of cool. But let's be honest, It's after
Afterwards.
the shows are over that's where the business happens.
Yeah, after hours.
No, that's true. I mean, there's so many, even just deals with customers and stuff that are made, sitting in the bar at night after these shows and that, so we're going out to dinner and that, and that's really where it all happens.
If it wasn't for after hours at car shows, I don't know if I'd be in this industry.
Yeah.
It would not be any fun.
No, it wouldn't. And ever since the early days, I remember
It's the relationships.
Yeah, I remember watching it, being at like the Adams Mark, and you're seeing Barry Lobeck.
You and Barry Lobeck.
No,
sitting there.
I wasn't sitting there with Barry
Slow
Lobeck. I was sitting like over by myself. Barry Lobeck was like with Bobby Alloway, and all those dudes are like, they just look like kings, Whatever they were doing was really fucking cool. We weren't doing that. We were just like spectators.
We got some big shoes to fill. We got to start setting the bar.
I tell you what, after listening to Glenn's, I think we just need to start punching people in the fucking mouth. Like or the Boyd stories.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to that one the other day. A lot of, I guess coming back from Nashville, I haven't listened to, usually if I'm in the road traveling somewhere and I have some hours to kill, I'll put one on. And especially if I'm like, it's late at night and I'm falling asleep, But so no, I did listen to that one the other day coming back from that. It was a good one. But, I think, it's just some of these stories and the relationships you build just going to these shows. And like you said, the show is just such a small part of it, I think, So
Yeah, that's the most important thing is the relationships with customers, with other fellow shops. I mean, I don't know of any other, we've talked about it before. I don't know any other industry that's out there like that. I don't know if you got a real estate convention, that, the guys from Remax and the guys from Century 21, they're like, fuck yeah, we're fixing to turn it up tonight.
Dude, there's plenty of houses to sell. We can all sell the houses.
And then they're hanging out with the guy that they just fucking screwed on, whatever his escrow was.
The foundation's cracked, and they're like, dude.
This has got to be the greatest.
Last night we were out to dinner, and it's like, you're looking around, you're trying to figure out like the dynamic of everyone at every other table, and that was kind of a thing, like, we're like, these people on a double blind date, or my wife's like, no, I think they're like at a business meeting. I'm like, at 7:00 at night, but I think that's so. I think in other industries, they do that. It may not be, they may not go as hard and as long and shut the bar down, but
I don't know how many of them drink out of their cars in the hotel parking.
No, that's
pretty unique, I think, to our industry.
Yeah,
You're making it sound like it's like trashy.
Nothing wrong with it.
Dude, we're drinking Weller
more
12
beer,
out of the back of the truck in Columbus.
Well, we've gotten fancier over the years, definitely.
When the last couple of years,
Hotel Ice and Hotel Cups, and
we were talking, I don't know, I forget who I was talking with in Nashville, and we were saying about like, everyone needs to just like get together though and like figure out where the fuck everyone's staying and stay at that same hotel, because that's like my biggest thing. Like, I kind of stopped going to the after party or whatever at Columbus because it's like, man, I got to drive all the way back here, and I'm a social drinker, so it's like I know I'll end up drinking a bunch of beers, I hang out with people, then I got to figure out how to get my ass back.
you seem to stay at that hotel.
Well, I know, but I never. I never think ahead.
Triple Crown accept you, I think.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I drove like 40 minutes there, and I was like, oh, all right,
Did you stay downtown?
No, we stayed in Mount Juliet, I think, or something like that. It was like it was the equal distance on the other side of the track, So yeah, it was just.
But it was away from everybody.
Yeah, well, yeah, there was a few people down there. Well, that my customer got their room, so I didn't really have a choice in that. But yeah, so.
Hey everybody, I'm Andy Stumpf, host of the IRONCLAD original Change Agents. For over a decade, IRONCLAD has worked with brands and individuals to create world-class films, series, podcasts, and ad campaigns. In fact, I've been working with IRONCLAD for the past few years. I was introduced to them on a project through the Navy SEAL Foundation. I've worked with them on a variety of projects, even up here in Montana, long before they proposed the idea of Change Agents to me. They're the best in their field. And I say that because there are plenty of people out there looking for the best, looking for the cream of the crop, looking for the top of the triangle. And if you're looking for that, you need to look no further than IRONCLAD. If you ever need media by way of film, a series, podcasts, or ad campaigns, they have you covered. You can reach out today and follow them anywhere at This Is IRONCLAD, the ampersand, and then This Is IRONCLAD, or visit them online, thisisironclad.com. Again, www.thisisironclad.com.
Recently on Change Agents, an Ironclad original, Andy Stump spoke with journalist Mark Bunker about his investigations into allegations of abuse by the Church of Scientology.
These people showed up at Lisa's hospital room and convinced her to check herself out against the doctor's wishes. They told the doctor, hey, we're going to take care of her. She'll be fine. They took her back to the Fort Harrison, put her in a room, locked her up there for 17 days, where they put her on what Hubbard called the introspection rundown, or baby watch. And this was this nonsense that Hubbard created to handle a psychotic break. The theory was they need complete silence. Finally, after 17 days, her condition became so bad that they decided, instead of calling an ambulance, of course, they decided to throw her in the back of one of their vans, and they drove her to a hospital, but not the Morton Plant Hospital, a couple of blocks away. No, they drove 45 minutes to another hospital where there was a Scientologist doctor on call. And when they showed up there, she was dead.
To see the full interview and more, check out Change Agents wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube at This Is Ironclad.
Yeah, no, I think that's, but years ago, I mean, in Nashville especially, like I've had some rough nights in Nashville in the years past.
We have all.
Yeah. We're fortunate to have a toter home.
Hey there, Tony.
With a couch in it. Are we past the statute of limitations
I
to
don't
tell
think that one runs forever, I think. There's people out there listening right now that know, and they're laughing.
That one's sealed in the vault.
Oh, you mean my... sorry.
We've had some, maybe when that 49 Ford we did for Rocky, it might have been like 2015. We had that down there, and we were out, hanging out, partying, and I think it was like 3:30, 4 in the morning. We were still downtown drinking, and I think as time goes on too, like I'm not as worried about like being the first guy at the show anymore and all that, where like I used to be so concerned about that. So, we get back to the hotel, it's like 4 in the morning. I'm up at 7:30 or 7 to get to the show. But, I can remember I think we had like a coolant link or something. So I'm in the trailer, like fucking around trying to tighten a hose clamp, and like 20 minutes go by, and my guys and my wife come in. I'm passed out in the engine bay, laid over the motor with my arm up under the fender while trying to tighten this hose clamp, and then so that they wake me up and we get done and we're pulling the show. And then I'm like, I'm still, drunk at that point. I'm driving into the show, and then waving whatever, and I remember this old guy, I didn't know who it was at the time, right? He steps out in front of me. I'm like, who the fuck is, this guy? Like, get out of my way. And it was Gil Losi, right? And he stops me and he's like, you're not Rocky. Where's Rocky? This is Rocky. And I was like, oh, no, yes, I built the car, and that. And so, I just remember in my head, I'm like, I'm going to run this guy over. Just get the hell out of my way, And then, we parked, and then my wife ended up, taking a nap in the back seat. So here we're at the show, and we got the windows down. We're trying to show the car, and she's sleeping in the back seat.
I think Nashville at the stadium, it was
good times.
That was dangerous.
You walk around there on Saturday, specifically Sunday morning, like everybody's ready for that. Yeah, it's just dead soldiers everywhere.
Yeah, we had a few years down there that were that way. It was just, then it got to the point where like you go to the same show year after. It became like Groundhog Day. Like you hit the same bars, the same thing, and it just got kind of monotonous. But there's some good times down there.
It's funny how that works. I was just in Louisville for this concert deal, but all the memories of that entire town, all the bars, everything relates back to the Nats. The Nats, the car show.
Well, I think that's what's good about some of these new shows coming out there, like that. It changes that up a little bit. Like you do the same show year after year. What I mean? Exactly. Just to do something different. So I think that's a good thing, and hopefully we get some more of them. A little, What
was your take on all the people and cars that showed up for the Triple Crown?
It was impressive. I think there's a lot of nice stuff there. It I think did what it needed to do for its first year. I was surprised at like some of the old cars, if that makes sense. Cars that have been done 5 and 10 years, like stuff that kind of came out of the woodwork and that, which in one way it was kind of cool to see some of that stuff, but there wasn't anything new, if that makes sense. Like you go to Columbus some years and like you want to check out every new car. And that's where there wasn't that. And it's
Sure.
just stuff you saw,
No,
Yes.
let's face it, all those builders take 2 years to build a car, and they just announced that show like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So.
I think that'll get there though.
Yeah, I think you will. I
it'll
think you'll get some
the
people
time
that wanna-
Next year it'll be insane.
Yep. I think you'll
Yeah.
get people that want to debut stuff there. I mean, overall, it was a good event. I mean, it was kind of the same faces, same Cape players you see at every other event, though. So it really, didn't feel like that different of an event, if that makes sense, But, so.
Hey, there were some things I thought that were quite different. It was
Yeah, I thought
Bobby knows what he's doing.
from the builder's standpoint, just how welcoming Bobby made the whole thing. From a vendor standpoint, it was pretty damn cool. I mean, the dinner on the first night, like it was that was kind of like
I didn't know what that was about,
kind of thing.
We're like, man, why is everyone all so important coming out with name tags and shit?
Yeah,
and
I mean the
stuff,
name
so.
tag. We could talk. We could all give Bobby suggestions. And the name tag. We might not need the name tags next year.
But I think Peggy Ring wants the name tag still.
Yeah, she might.
It's funny. It was like the next night or 2 nights later, right? We're hanging out by Mike's truck. Was that Saturday? No, Friday night maybe, out in the back of the. Anyway, Anyway, so I walk in the hotel. That's like a Vegas casino, that place, right? So like I walk in the backside, and I was like completely turned around because the night before we were in the other end of the hotel, and I walk in. I'm trying to find the bathroom, and Will from DEI is sitting in a chair. He's trying to do something, right? And I look on his shoulder. And that chair has a Phil Gerber name tag on it. And I'm like, he didn't know it was there or nothing. But yeah, I just found it funny that somebody had stuck it there. So
Yeah, I had a good time at that show.
It was a blast.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like after all the years, decades of doing shows, that was an enjoyable time, man. It was just like a breath of fresh air. It was cool.
we thought about, I guess back in Columbus, I talked to Will about doing a vendor spot there, and it kind of like try to weigh out, like, is it worth the value? Like, what is it worth
Sure.
it? I hate to say that sometimes, but you got to think about like the cost of the spot, the cost of fuel, the time away. When you're doing that now, you're taking a couple of guys out of the shop and that, and we kind of decided we weren't going to do it this year. We're like, we'll see how the show goes, maybe do it next year. But then once you're there, it's like, oh man, we should have done it. There's so many shops down here, and then even just not having like that home base to hang out with, and that I think was we missed that a little bit, so. But
I think next year we know that what the main row is going to be. We had a lot of fun there on that. Putting us across from Greening
It's like a street party.
that's block party, yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was everybody was there. But going back to cars a little bit, so we talked about the ranch wagon. Do you remember that time and what customer that was? Was it at a show, or did they come into the shop where you're like, I finally think we get to do what we want to do?
Yeah, I think, going back a little bit, maybe even before that, like right after that ranch wagon, I ended up doing a 37 Ford for a guy. It was one of those Oz bodies, and local guy, but he was a really good craftsman himself, and he did a lot of really nice work. But we did the body and paint and ended up finishing the car, and we took that to some good guys events, and it won some awards and stuff like that. And that was kind of the first gotten in a magazine, like the first car that I felt that might have been 2005, 2006 maybe, that was like a high end build for us at the time, But that car is what so we did that 33 Ford for Rocky Bowler. That was a grade 8 car. Yeah, that when you bring it up, right? So he had seen that red 37 I did, and that's how I ended up getting that job to build that car. So, and
Are there pictures of that 37? Because that's honest. No offense. That's a period of time that I'd kind of like to forget. Like the coast to coast body.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have. They're probably on film or something. So.
Remember the interior, painting some interior panels on that.
Oh, on the 33. Yep. Yeah. So Wayne and Pam.
Goes way back.
Yeah. So Wayne and Pam at M&M did the interior in that, and we needed get sent over to you guys and painted some parts on that.
That's a good looking car.
So that's a car that there's things I would have done differently on that car, but the wheel size was not necessarily my choice. I probably would have went with a little smaller wheel. I mean, back then that might have been kind of what was going on, but it's a little big in the back, and
20s or 22s?
That's a 22 in the back. When I got the car, it had a 22 and a 16 on it. And it was just such a huge, weird combo. We ended up going up to a 17 in it, but in the front. And those are, Eva did that. So that's a solid one-piece chunk of aluminum, and then you start seeing the
nice and light
invoice for what a piece of aluminum that big cost, But it's just, there's some stuff, and I always felt too, like with that car, I probably would have chromed, like I think at that point in that year range of, if we were, you're really trying to compete for the award at that level, like everything should have been plated and all that stuff. Cause you start looking at like different finishes. So now you got polished aluminum, you got polished stainless, you got, a bunch of different finishes going on there. Sure. And they're all, to the average person, look the same, but they're not. They're all colored differently in that, so.
What year was that, grade 8?
I think 2014 maybe. But yeah, and that, but still at that time it was cool. It was a cool experience. I mean, there was a lot. I severely underbid that car like that. that was a flat rate deal. And so it took a lot of years. I think I started in 08 maybe. But there's so much time, like the whole underside of the car is gapped to the frame rail, and just there's not a square radius on the bottom. It's all a 1/4-inch radius the entire way around the tranny tunnel, drive shaft tunnel, like everything. And there's just so much time that I gave away in that car, just trying to make it, as perfect as I could in that, but I didn't know at the time too, like, I mean, if you ask my wife, I still don't know sometimes like what these cars cost to build. Like I tend to like think, oh yeah, we can get that done. And like, whatever, but, it end up having 4 times the amount of time in something, but
would you
go ahead?
Well, I'm curious, would you encourage a guy like an up and comer, a guy who's getting into this industry, would you encourage him to do the same thing that all of us have done, that to look at a car like that, underbid the shit out of it, and then donate a massive amount of labor?
What's the other option?
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
versus bring it, like just get it done and take it to your local Dog and Suds, and maybe get another one just like it, like another.
Yeah, I think the natural answer is no, but at the same point, I kind of feel like that is what you have to do. You like to get your name out there and to really show what you're capable of. I almost feel like that is what you have to do, is you just work your ass off and do the best you can do with something, and kind of that's going to speak for itself. Whether once again, terrible business advice, but like whether you're getting paid for it or not, like just do the best you can do with it, and then eventually you will get paid for it. People are going to see what you're doing.
30 years down the road.
Yeah, well, that's
you just want to lose a little bit less money in the next one.
It's never.
It's all part of the process. It's all part of the grind. It's no different. I mean, we've watched all those movies and stories and docu-series about all of the great artists, music artists that. You got to go play all the dive bars. You got to do all this. You got to do. I mean, nobody just shows up to the record label and is like, "I promise you, I'm gonna be fucking badass." You just give me the shot, right? And you don't. Nobody.
That Oliver Anthony dude maybe is an exception.
Well, that's He got himself. That
right time. Right
that's
place.
1 in a million, right? 1 in a million, right? And maybe you go to that Dog and Suds with
and Bezos just happens to be craving a hot dog that day.
But at the same time, so. Back, bringing it full circle. Say, Dirty Dick, whatever, walks in, right? Whatever the guy's name is.
Dirty Dick.
That's what we're going with.
Start over, dude.
I don't think give me another.
Whatever the guy's name is, walks in and says, "I've got $80,000 to build this, whatever Le Mans, right?" And you're gonna do it, make him happy, right? Well, there's gonna be things that aren't gonna be perfect, right? And you go to Dog and Suds, right? Say that guy that's got the
Dirty Dick, Le Mans, Dog and Suds. This sounds fucking awesome.
Say Jeff Bezos, right? Or the car equivalent of Bezos. It's got the unlimited money. Sure. Sees that car. We've talked about this before. Is he going to be like, "Oh fuck yeah! So you did such a good job on the $80,000 budget. I bet you could do amazing on unlimited budget."
Gotcha.
He's not going to.
You're right.
Even if you go to Dog and Suds, you better give that $80,000 guy the best you can fucking give.
Yep.
Even if you don't make any money on it. Because the business card, it comes back to the business card. Do you want a shitty business card that's like, I'll do what I can for what you can pay me?
Well, I almost feel like, you just become that you do one level. Like, so whether the person's paying for it or not, whether it's a paint job, like, I just feel like it's so hard to say, okay, well, we're not going to sand and buff the underside of the hood, or not going to sand and buff a door. I mean, hell, I see a lot of cars out there that people just say, fuck it, we're not going to do that. But it's one of those things where your name's going on it, and I think it's just like an OCD thing with me. Like, I just can't leave that alone. Like, I have to get that out, but yeah, I think that for people starting out, like, I hate to say it's like not maybe paying dues, but yeah, you just need to put the time in and get the work done. And, you may not always be getting paid for it, but it's just, I think sometimes money, I don't want to say money isn't everything, but you have a certain product or a vision or whatever you want to accomplish there, so.
Equivalent of sweeping floors and taking out the trash and taking down cars until you get the street.
Yeah, and I think
it's the same thing. It comes back though to the vision in your head, right? Your vision at that point in time, when you're there on a Saturday night, right, at 3:00 in the morning, not charging for deburr in that block, but it's got to be done. Your vision is not only this car, but also where I want to take the business and the other cars that I want to build and all this kind of stuff. If somebody were to walk in there right now and be like, hey, I'm going to tell you, like, I traveled in time, I can tell your future. Like, dude, this shit just doesn't work out. Like, you're not a car builder and you never get to build anything fucking cool. Do you think you'd continue at that point? Like, hammering down, like, fucking, like, you'd be like, oh, fuck, I can quit. I can go home. Well,
it's fun, but I don't know.
I guess here's the thing, like,
exactly.
Do we know how to do anything else at this point? Like, this is all, I couldn't go
now
work.
We're going to start fucking drinking.
Yeah, like, that's, like,
you start a podcast is what you do at that point.
Yeah, maybe, right? So, yeah, but, so since, 13, 14 years old, I got started in this stuff, and I've been in business since I was 19. Like, I don't know how to do anything. Like, I couldn't go work for somebody else at this point. Like, I'm probably unhireable. Like, I couldn't go work. I don't know that.
You don't have strong
shit about
interpersonal skills.
Yeah, I don't know shit about the collision industry to, like, so this is basically what I know, so it's whether. So at some point I'll be doing this at some level.
Look
or
at
another,
this Ultima bumper, how it's gapped to the headlight.
Yeah, Oh, yeah, I could never make any money at that. So, yeah.
300 hours in that
all of us,
4-hour repair.
Well, all of us would last like 30 minutes in a collision.
And I don't have the pay. Like, there's so many new, like, welding, like, things and stuff going on with that stuff and different types of metal. Like, I don't have the patience to learn about that, like, so I don't know.
Or you just total the car.
Yeah.
It's totaled. That one looks like it's totaled. So back to you did the 33, right?
So I think that so we did that car and we had done some other stuff, like that truck my dad got me back when I was 13. Like, it took me forever to get that thing finished, but I think might have been the end of 08, beginning of 09. We finished that truck up and took it to some good guys events and won some pros picks and stuff like that, and ended up getting on the cover of Classic Truck magazine and Truck of the Year pick and all that stuff, and that so in between there, like, that we're doing some other stuff, but like getting that 33 done, taking it to Detroit, making the grade 8 with it, like, that was a big kind of turning point. I think that a customer saw what we could do. So
what did you learn about Detroit, having not built and competed before that?
Like, the first year I went, like, especially not knowing you hold it, like, in such high regard, I guess, so, like, the first year I went to that show might have been 09, and you think every car there is going to be a grade 8 level car, and you walk in and you realize, like, 90% of it is just the same shit you see at the local cruising, and there's just such a small percentage of it. And I think that, kind of puts stuff into perspective. But I think for, like, that car, what it was, like, it did what it had to do, and, like, that's what the customer had in mind. Like, we knew that wasn't going to be a car that was going to go there and win, but I think in years, like, after that, like, looking at some of the stuff that wins, the quality, like, it's just it is what it is. Like, some of this, you guys have talked
it. It seems like you're really bouncing around and not wanting to say it.
You look, he's got a customer that's hemming and hawing about bringing a car to Detroit.
It's funny. Like, as much as I absolutely don't want to ever do that again, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I probably would give it another try, like, just to say you did it. But, and then I look back at that car and I'm like, it wasn't, like, that fucking hard, like, why don't we try it again? But I've
wondered this in probably the last couple of years. Imagine what it would be like if 8 builders badass builders, right, that have been in the game for long enough, all said, yeah, this year, whatever that year is, they pick a year, everybody brings something badass to Detroit.
7 of them wouldn't have the car done in time.
Yeah.
Well, but think about like what that would change, because everybody, I mean, I hate to generalize, and we're going to get hate emails, or these guys will probably be actual mail. But I mean, it's not what it was. Let's just call a spade, and it's not what it was.
It's
but
not. Yeah,
it would be interesting to see. Not that any of us want to do that, right?
But,
and I mean, the customers aren't really there to do it either. I wonder how many of these shops that are competing for these are for customers that are like, "Yep, I want to win the Riddler," or is it just like, "Yeah, we're gonna build something and go."
I almost feel it's that way in like so many shows. Though, it's not what it was, if that makes sense. With a lot of stuff, like you roll into Columbus and it's not what it was. Like, and years ago, like I'd go to that show and I'd be expecting to see a new build from you guys that would blow me away, or a new build from the Ring Brothers or whatever, and it's like you go and that stuff's not showing up anymore. And it's maybe just a shift in the industry. Maybe it is more the focus on actually driving and using stuff and enjoying these cars. Is it the customers, a shift in customers as far as like the age group and what they want that car for? They just don't give a shit about that anymore. Like there's a mixture of stuff, but I think 10 years back, like there's a lot of shows, even SEMA, like you could walk around there and just be blown away by some of the shit you see. And now I don't get that feeling sometimes. That's, there's always a couple of cars that do, but it's just not, maybe not like it used to be, so, but
yeah, there's a weird kind of change, even for like in years past, like we're doing that F100, that 53 F100, and you rewind like,
Try this first.
What am I don't know which one I'm drinking.
Like 6-7 years ago, we would have gone into that project and been focused exclusively on, this is a truck of the year. This is going to be a good guy's truck of the year. That's what we want to win. And it's no offense to good guys. It's not like there's a reason why we don't have that mindset, but we're just trying to make it. I feel like it's almost self-satisfaction. You reach a point where it's no longer chasing the award. You're just trying to make it the best thing you can make it. Well, maybe it'll win something. Like even the Chevelle, we brought Brent's Chevelle out to the Triple Crown, and it ended up winning a top 30, which was really cool. But most people don't look twice at that car.
Right.
But I dig it, and Brent digs it, and I think it accomplished everything that particular customer wanted, and so you're satisfied, the customer's satisfied.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you made the comment, like, go to Columbus and you don't see that new build from us. You don't see that new build. So this is the funny part, right? You want to hear that 5 years ago, we go to Columbus, debut what we think is a badass car, right? And that customer's super happy. You got 6-7 other customers that are like, oh, that's cool. When's my car going to be done?
Yeah.
Right? Fast forward to last year at Columbus, we go down with 6 or 7 customers, and they all drive their cars down there, and they're like, this is the fucking most awesome thing that's ever. All right, Saturday, I'm rolling out to California. I'm rolling out to Virginia. I'm driving down to Florida. I'm doing this. So
different vibe.
It's like, I get it. I 100% get it. But at the same time, you're looking at like, well, fuck, we just made 6 customers super fucking happy, and they had the time of their life, versus you go down there and you trailer a car and you put it out. I don't know. Well, I'm not making a point on any of this kind of stuff, because I think you've got to have both sides to drive the innovation and drive.
I think that's as the customer's changing, though. Like that's what these newer customers want. Like we're building cars for people now, they want to use them, and even that's a conversation we have in the shop a lot, like with our guys, like, is using this stuff. And, like some of the most fun I've had like recently at shows were like doing the Gathering and some other events, the Hot Rod of the Year stuff, like where we got to drive Jerry's car and use it and put some miles on it. And and I think that's the more and more road tours you see and stuff like that, that's where you see stuff, I think, shifting, but I think there's a lot, like we joke around the shop that like it's a new era. Like I just feel like a lot of stuff is changing in the industry. There's so many new shops popping up, like people that you knew worked for this company now. There's just so many changes in stuff, and it's just it's been interesting. I feel like a little bit.
Where do you think it goes from here? Because if you, again, backing up, like I feel like there were a lot more new shops. Like 5-10 years ago, it was like, man, every week there was somebody new. There were new guys coming to the industry. It seems like there's a handful of them.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I mean, maybe
am
it's
I right
social
that it
media.
doesn't seem-
Like, it just seems like there's more because of social media. Like, I don't know, but
And so there are a lot more guys like on the gas coming out with higher level cars, new shops you hadn't heard of. I don't know if now everybody's just so busy with 3 or 4 or 5, 6 cars going on that they can't finish the one.
yeah, it's just there's a lot.
Everybody says that though, but at the same time, just like you said earlier, that it takes so much more to impress you. So did 5 years ago easy stuff impressed you more? Now you're just not impressed. There's shit still coming out. There's still a lot of shops out there, and there's still stuff coming out, but it just doesn't. We've become so jaded, just kind of like, I've seen that. But at that point, it's kind of a cocksucker that thing when you're looking at the Instagram part, especially when you scroll past something, when you don't even give it the time of day, when somebody's put their like heart and soul into that, and that's that guy that's like, I didn't get paid to fucking smooth this block, and you didn't even look at it. You just swiped right past my fucking picture.
I wonder too if a lot of it's like back then there was so few people that could like CNC machine something and do this crazy one-off shit. Like a one-off set of wheels was like you didn't see it.
Now.
Now it's if you can dream it up, you can probably have it built. So
I think that has changed a lot. Yeah.
Fuck. The chip came out. It had 2 years ago. The billet wire wheels, right? On the thing. Those things were fucking amazing, right?
They're still amazing.
Still amazing. Still absolutely amazing. Then 2 weeks ago, Evod posted that picture, and you're like, motherfucker.
I don't even know how that. I don't even know how that.
I still
possible.
don't. I think it's. I think it's AI.
Yeah, it is. I'm with you.
Yes.
No,
Did you see those wheels?
I did. Yeah, no. I was looking at, and I don't know enough about machining. Like, can a 5-axis like come in at the backside of that?
Like a 17.
Yeah, I just don't know how.
Yeah,
there's
that's
a-
like shit.
There's a reach around going on there.
But,
that, like I've never
like
seen
think of
the
the
way they get that like undercut.
It's got an
Well,
interesting.
think of the size of
you know what I'm talking. Do you know?
tooling in that?
Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
I know what a reach around is. Yeah.
but it made sense.
that
Right?
with a cutter.
Yeah. Pull that wheel up. That wheel is
I'm about to.
that wheel's mind blowing.
It's you don't have to get silent when I start. You can still.
Well, it takes you so goddamn long, you know. I think in your FaceTime conversation you had with Joe Rogan last week, you couldn't have asked him how Jamie is able to Google shit so quickly.
I think I might want to take over the keyboard. Google's my area of expertise.
So,
This isn't Google. It's right. I knew where I was going. I just had
Is
to
it
scroll down to
is it a one piece? Like that's
Yes.
what, yeah. All right. So
One
the
piece.
spoke, the nut, everything is all.
Yeah. Is that not fucking amazing?
I don't know how it's possible.
I'd hate to be the guy that has to polish that or something. You know?
or clean it.
What if it's just a set of
What
wire
is it?
wheels
What's it
and he's
going
just-
on? Does it say?
What, he just made the center cap, I think.
It's just a center cap.
Some big.
He made them for
Well,
Terry.
click on Terry
Check out
Riles.
Terry Riles. Oh, he's a dad of 2. He's a business owner. Car lover.
Terry.
Switchblade. Married.
He's
Click
married
on
to
Switchblade
Barbie.
Barbie. She's private too.
Nope.
No.
No, that's
Old
just
Switchblade Barbie.
Yeah, I always wonder when I see like them post that. I'm like, are they
So let me get this straight.
go back
Scroll
to
down.
the
Scroll
wheel.
down.
Back to the wheel.
Scroll down. Terry sets his profile on private, but
but
yet
he
he's
gets on here.
he's fully willing to post half nude pictures.
I wonder
of himself.
I wonder if switch _blade _ Barbie and what was his name?
Terry.
We're talking about Terry _ Riles.
There's going to be 7 people that try to friend request
Dude, I
him.
don't know. It's a
This
small
is-
picture.
yeah.
That dude's a big dude.
Yeah, we're saying this with all due respect.
You're having yourself an altercation.
yeah.
at SEMA.
No, this is with. I said it with all due respect.
You might want a GT40. You're gonna get stuffed in one by Terry _ Riles.
I said with all due respect.
That doesn't negate anything.
It does.
No. I wonder what he's putting those on. Seriously. Though.
What's the center cap
I'm going to
say?
guess a car.
it says shady on it. I think. Right?
Maybe it's something
Maybe
that
it's for
fills
him.
into.
How big are they? Are they going on like a donk or something like that? Or?
It doesn't look that big.
Yeah,
That looks
they're
like a
proportionate, at least.
18 or like a 19
Wait,
maybe.
you know what? Yeah, maybe even smaller. Because look at the size of like that knockoff. If that was like a 24, that thing would be a foot across, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've got so many questions. I was going to see if he had anything else on these other posts. Shady will be floating down the road with these custom fully machined wire wheels.
Floating center cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
enough of the plug.
it's fucking awesome.
We'll send them
I'm sure those.
invoice for that.
I'm sure, like, as far as one-off wheels go, those were not an affordable set. But like when you start looking at that, like we've got a couple cars in the shop right now that, you look at what a set of one-offs will cost you. Like I hate to say, become somewhat reasonable, but like they're
In comparison to
you're talking another couple of grand, from an off-the-shelf set of wheels, and that just makes such a difference. And
It does.
I'm glad, or thankful for customers that can see that, that are willing to spend that little bit more to just have something that nobody else has, So it's
What is your, if you had to overgeneralize, what is your average customer that comes in? Have they been in the game? Are they newcomers?
we got a kind of a pretty even mix, I think, because I have a couple of customers that have just never built a car before in their life, and then I have a couple that are, they have other cars, whether it's something they bought, or I always appreciate somebody that's tried to do a restoration or build a car on their own too. Like they have an entire we got a customer now that's he's done some work on his own cars and restored one in the past, and it's like he doesn't even question how long something takes because he knows it took him twice as long to do it himself on his own project, So, and then, we have other customers like somebody like Jerry that's got, had cars built in the past before. And we're doing a 53 Bel Air for a guy right now. And he's had a few cars built in that and stuff. So, I think it's kind of a mix. So, and they're all generally been pretty good to deal with. I mean, people that have had cars built in the past, especially like high level stuff, at least, I feel like have a little better understanding of what it costs and what it takes. And I'm trying to get out of this, like with giving like estimates to people. It's just something that can't happen because it's like there's no idea what this. Like I don't know. I could build 3 of the same cars. They're all going to cost completely different. So I've noticed with people that have had high-end cars built, like they usually don't ask the cost, or if they do, it's they're generally okay with where it's going to go. Where you have. There's so many people that walk off the street, and it's like you hate to just be rude and turn people away, but they just have no idea what it's.
I've got a Camaro. I did the assembly on it. They just need you to spray it.
Yeah, there's so much of
You're
that.
not going to like what we have to say.
So it's it's easier just to politely turn that person away, and I think. Yeah, obviously early on in business, maybe you can't do that, and you got to take what comes in that. But yeah, when it's kind of nice when you can get to the point where you can kind of pick and choose what you want to work on and. Enjoy what you're working on in that. So,
kind of a cliche question, but where do you see the industry going? Don't give me the standard answers. Everybody, we're going to do trucks and do 4-wheel drives. Although we did see the rendering of the new thing.
That's our first 4-wheel drive build we're doing.
And that's all. I mean, we
just shot yourself in the foot on that.
we've seen that obviously blow up, but as a more detailed answer of where things are going in the next 5 to 10 years.
I think it just is. It's going to kind of continue. I think in the direction it's going, and it's just like different stuff, whether it's late model or just something that's unique. You've seen so many of the same, whether it's Camaros, 32s, like everything being built. So I think you're going to see more kind of oddball stuff. And I think even just listening like some of the stuff you guys have talked about in the past and that, like I think European stuff, some stuff like that, and not that they're anything new. Like I really like some of these outlaw Porsches that people are building and stuff like that, and starting to look at stuff like that. And then I think stuff you look at like the C10, the square body market, all that. Like what happened to that, and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have picked up a bunch of those 10 years ago. And I don't know if I was talking with one of you guys or somebody out in Nashville about it a little bit, like, is it going to be the S10s and the stuff like that, we grew up building mini trucks and stuff like that you're going to see people kind of, is stuff like that going to come back around? I think as, guys that built that stuff in high school are now at an age where they want that again, just like, we're building cars for guys that in high school wanted a Chevelle or a Camaro and stuff like that,
I don't know if you tried to find like a good B2200 or a Super Cat. Yeah. Those
Super Cat. What are we talking about?
Isuzu.
I don't know the slang. I wasn't a mini trucker guy.
Some big up here.
Yeah, I haven't looked for like Mazdas or where they tacos and stuff like that, but I've been looking at some S10s lately and stuff, and I think I was born in 83, so it's like if I was going to get one, it has to be an 83, you know? So that was like the thing. So I started looking at some of them.
S10, full trim, bumpers, and the factory two-tone.
Two-tone on it and that, and just, but.
Those are cool.
You know, so.
Could be really cool.
Yeah. I had some, and I think that was in high school, like as I was building that 52 Chevy, I had like, I kind of realized, one, it was going to take me a long time to get it done, but that wasn't going to be like a daily driver. So yeah, I had an S10 in high school and bagged it. Then I totaled it, and I ended
Space cab, not a super cab. Space cab.
Ended up body dropping it and getting into the mini truck stuff for a little bit. And then I realized like I was just dumping money into something I was never going to get it back into, and then kind of got back going on my hot rod again. So
Who's your space cab?
how you going to look it up?
That's the thing with the excessively large back window.
Excessively large back window, yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I can't get into that.
That's the kind of thing Josh would be into.
No,
that
I'm
suits.
not. I'm not into it. I'm saying if you go...
No, yeah, you brought it up. You brought it up, and that's
yeah.
something that I could definitely see you
The
driving.
stock gold one right there. The grandma.
Like, how did that make it out of the design department, though? Like, just looking at that rear window.
If you've ever
you
seen...
know?
Because there's a guy like Josh there.
If you've ever checked the prices on them. The,
I don't care what the fucking price is on it. That sucks. What is like $3,500?
Mazda B2200.
Anyway, moving
Yeah,
on.
I kind of wonder if,
It's
like,
taking a bad turn.
the just as you're seeing, like, same thing, so you're seeing mini trucks and stuff like that coming back around, tweed interiors, all that stuff. Like, will it circle back around with the 90s and early 2000s street rods? Like, that was another thing I was wondering about. Like, will you see some of that stuff coming back or not? You know, just like some of the OBS trucks with the teal paint jobs and, you know, the older Boyd or Budnick wheels and stuff like that coming back around. Will you see some of that, you know, street rod stuff come back around or not?
Yeah, that'll be. I keep waiting because guys like us that have been in it for quite a long time, like, you know, we're probably still into that stuff to some extent.
Yeah.
You keep waiting for that market to like kind of drop so you can steal some of those things, but it just doesn't really, you know?
Yeah, it's well, yeah, and I want, like, I don't even know where all these cars are. They're just, you know, like, you think about going to York, like, you know, years ago in the 90s, and there's 6,000 cars at these shows, and now you go and there's 2,000. It's like, where are they all?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, you know, to some extent, it's like you don't really.
That Blazer right there, Josh, that was go up.
Street side
No.
classics.
Okay, you got to. There's like a
Oh, the
gold.
Blazer Extreme.
Go up a little more, left hand side, right there, the gold and white, like something like that, you know.
2-door.
Yeah, those are rad.
Morris had a killer blue and gray one on Street Machinery that somebody LS swapped, and it was slightly lowered but still stock wheels.
Really?
It was pretty badass.
Yeah, but they've you try to buy that thing, it's $10,000 now. You know what I mean? They all just.
Dude, in high school, my wife, who I knew in high school, had a 4-door version of that.
Okay.
Black with like the gray two-tone, the lower like gradient stickers on it.
My wife had, I want to say it was like a 91 4-door. It was the dark green though. Then she had a 91 standard cab short bed S10 we bagged. That was she used to drive.
Is that her idea? To bag it?
She needed a car, and my buddy had it, so he had started bagging it, and so I paid $1,000 for it, and I had I think the front was done, the rear wasn't, so I finished bagging it, and that was like she needed a car, and that was it. And there was a few times that she'd be driving to work in the snow, and I'd have to go like meet her and pull her out of a ditch. So the thing would just end up in a snowbank and that, you know. So,
You think any of the 80s cars are going to make as big of a comeback as the late 60s, early 70s stuff? I'm seeing the IROCs. And the
I mean,
bodies.
I kind of felt like they had already, I guess, you know. So that's where, you know, I think that's going to continue, you know. So,
just getting into higher end builds, like something that would be rolling
you
through
know,
your shop.
yeah, and I don't know. I mean, there's obviously guys doing them right now. Like I like that red car Jesse just did, you know, and that. And I don't know. Even if you don't see as many like super high end builds out of them, I think you're going to see more of. Maybe that's not a survivor build kind of thing, but you're going to see that stuff. Just update the suspension, drivetrain, that sort of stuff. Yep. Just same thing. That's what that guy would have wanted in high school, but maybe he couldn't afford or whatever the case was. You know, that's what they want to build now. You know, so I think we're going to continue to see that. So.
I wonder where the line gets drawn or doesn't between the stuff that's almost like a novelty, that it's funny, that we send back and forth,
Yeah.
to the point where you're ready to spend money on that. Like, bring a trailer something will pop up that's like a late 80s Beretta Z24 that's like yellow with the grid pattern. It is absolutely mint, like low mileage. And we all send it back and forth. And it's like, part of it's funny that it's like, oh, remember these? And then part of it's like, well, if that goes cheap enough, like, I'm going to buy it.
I think the front-wheel drive thing is the thing that keeps it from being a build.
Yeah.
It's my personal
So
opinion.
then in your opinion,
real drive Beretta conversions coming
in
up.
your opinion, then do you feel like we're missing the boat on the emails that Phil receives that from the guy who wants to take that, and he's like, I've got a low mileage Beretta like Z24 and I want to convert it to a 9-inch rear wheel drive, and we get that email. Phil,
you're talking to the wrong person.
well, Phil gets it.
Fisherman.
Right, and
I'll put the worm in the water.
If
You
it was
see
a
what gets-
Beretta, I'd be all for
he
it. but the
replies
emails,
nicely. He's like, well, it'd be, there's a lot of time and labor involved in a build like that. We appreciate you reaching out, but
I just don't think he's got the sales.
It's not
to be able
for
to pull
us.
it off.
if it was a 96 Beretta, I'd be all about it. But it's the guy with like the 2002 Impala Max that wants to do it.
I mean, that could be
1,000
cool
horsepower.
too.
what was the one you sent one over recently that was
Grand Prix.
man, yeah.
Grand Prix.
That
spoke
fucker
to you.
was bad.
Grand Prix.
No, it
is-
was
Oh, I
bad.
thought the blue one that I sent, the 2-door Grand Prix.
This was
was
a
the
white
green-
one. It was the white one with the ground effects.
It was
The
like-
push
lighter-
buttons,
oh
steering
my God,
wheel.
Yes, the push. Yeah, it looked like a fucking Nintendo glove on the steering wheel.
But like 10 years ago, maybe, did you think you were going to be building a car like that Grand National or these square body
Never.
trucks in that? So that's kind of
Never.
the same thing.
Yeah,
And I'm
you're
not saying that the Beretta is going to be it. Like, I don't know if the S10 is going to be it. Like, in your head, you're like, oh, put all this fucking money into one of these trucks.
I
But
wonder how much of that is the shops, right?
I think that's all it takes. So it's like for you guys,
Someone's gotta build
somebody,
something cool.
myself, somebody to do it, to see it, and somebody to be like, oh, that's fucking cool. Yeah.
Well,
and that's what's
the
going to
thing.
be.
How
you know?
many of the customers are out there are like, man, I really want to do one of these. I'm just waiting on the shop to do it. Or they're all the shops that are out there are a little bit elevated. Nothing against the customers, but we're in it day to day, and we've been in it for years, right? So we are always looking for that next fix, just like a drug addict, right? It's the next thing to get us just a little bit more high, right? What's the next thing that's like, oh, this is a little fucking different. So we're pushing the envelope a little more, right? And I know that the customer base is the age of them are changing, right? So it's continuing to go with it. But at the same time, I don't know if the customer base is out there to the level that most of the shops are like, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to do a Grand Prix. I want to do an IROC, or I want to do
like it's
a square body S10.
It's a little behind.
You've got to
Like,
have those.
but
Yeah.
if Mark fucking rolls up to, a good guy show next year in an '84
yes.
Blazer that's just hammered on the ground with some turbo motor, something, we'd be like, that son of a bitch.
But it's,
That's fucking
it's the
awesome.
Same thing. It's the same thing with Survivor cars for the customer wise, is because
Yeah, that was a tough nut to crack to get past the imperfection.
it has to be when they're like, oh shit, that's cool. Everybody's doing that. I'll do it.
Well, and that's a fine line. Like, so say you do that. So what are you going to do a perfect body and paint job and have you guys build the chassis under something? In here you got, a couple hundred G's and something that you're going to get 20 grand out of, like, or do you do that Survivor kind of just find,
you can start with a Survivor, then someone builds a little bit nicer one, and
Yeah, and there's snowballs.
you do the tweed interior and all that, it's like, where do you draw the
Fucking tweed.
line?
someone's gonna do a
tell you what,
cyclone.
If we start doing tweed
flares.
interior, all the interior shops go out of business because anybody can do tweed.
Staple
Dude,
it,
I could.
right?
Oh no, it
Fold
just,
it and staple it.
Hot glue gun.
You glue it, but it's just you could wrap a fucking basketball without a seam. Fucking tweed is a magic material.
Yeah, I think that's all,
What'd you have in your Honda Civic?
Tweed. Yeah, 100%.
Was it orange as well? Orange piping, probably,
No, it was all gray.
except the eyebrows.
Monochrome. Everything was monochrome back then. Monochrome orange on the outside and monochrome gray on the inside.
I think what it is, we need that like mid 40s customer that's very like susceptible to peer pressure, that has an endless budget, because all those things could be pushed on them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it would change the industry, because somebody's got to be the first one that jumps in.
This is completely halfway off topic, but think about it. We talked a little bit about it when Andy Leach was on here. That motherfucker gets no credit for building that Bronco. Years ago.
Dude, that is
years and years ago.
that is funny because that thing was really fucking nice.
Really fucking nice.
And, like,
way ahead
10
of its
years
time.
before anybody
Yeah.
touched four-wheel drive stuff. Yeah.
If I were Andy, I'd stake that in the ground. Like, you know, I would make a sword that says.
Would you get a tattoo?
I probably would. I'd get
OG
a
Bronco builder.
Yeah, I would have a massive sword that says Bronco on
But
it.
now, like,
And I would stab that.
is
I
that
would
market
stab
going
that
to
in the
die
ground.
out? Like, I wonder that. Like, you've seen so many of them built now. Like, is that still, you know, or there's so many square bodies being built, or like, is that going to die out, or will it stay? You know, like,
first gen Camaros over 30
yeah, I
fucking
guess.
years.
Yeah.
And they keep
I don't know.
lining up.
Yeah. I think the four-wheel drive thing will change it quite a bit because there's no one really. There haven't been a lot of high-end four-wheel drive
Yeah.
trucks built yet. There's a ton of Broncos, a couple Scouts, but in our industry,
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
I think it's a whole new canvas and new shit you can play with.
Well, and that's when, like, the one we're doing it. And luckily, this customer I'm building this for kind of, I guess, whether he does or not, give me kind of free reign. He just doesn't question anything I do, or just, you know, so it's kind of the focus I went on that is just building. You see so many of them, but nothing that's just been refined. So kind of the same concept we took with a couple other C10 trucks we build. I'm just trying to refine everything on it, you know, but still make it functional and something that, you know, he can drive, can use in that. But, you know,
Seeing that rendering, that I think it's going to be amazing, but it pissed me fucking off so bad because that's the exact truck I've told you guys about for with the green one we've got at the other shop.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have one that
down to
color?
the
Or
T.
so, yeah. So, well,
The green square body?
Oh yeah, okay.
he
Down to, like, I'm not going to give things away,
Yeah.
but the three major details that I said needed to be on there were on
Well,
that.
see, and that's the one thing I hate about that truck
I
was the
wasn't listening to
color.
anything
So,
you were saying, I'm gonna be
but-
honest.
and I just, you know, and now that, like, we had Eric Black do the renderings on it, and that now that I see them, like, and the concept, like, I like it. But when that truck showed up in my shop in that color, I'm like, that's the first thing that's got to go. You know,
The green.
it's just this ugly ass green, you know. But that was the one. We just did a Nova for that customer, and that was a stock resto. It was like a rare number option car, and
These guys got some money.
yeah, and he's like,
Heavy hitter.
so that was the thing. He's like, it's almost the same color as the Nova. Like, it has. That was the one thing. He's like, I don't give a fuck what else you want to do. Like, it was a K10 when we got it too. And he's like, if you want to keep it 4-wheel drive, 2, whatever you want, like, it has to stay that color. And I'm having a hard time even selling him on, like, he wants it all that green. I think we're gonna do a white roof and the white inserts on it. But yeah, that was like the one thing I wanted to go, you know.
So this is a man of means and impeccable taste.
Yeah.
Nova
Nova guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
and K10.
We
green.
did.
Based on what you showed me in the rendering, and I know your build quality, obviously, that could be the greatest C10 ever built.
Really?
I'm gonna go
I
down
haven't
in
seen the
history.
rendering.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about you're talking about inserts. I thought you had something different for the inserts for the trim.
We've got a couple different renderings. One's like 2-tone green, one's all green, one's got like a off-white in the inserts and in on the roof and that. So Jason Norberg, he's working on we're building all billet, one-off trim for the truck and everything, all one piece for it and that. And then stuff like that starts to escalate 'cause it's like where do you stop, because now we're talking about building one-off grill, full billet, taillights. It's just kind of like
Right, flush mount the trim into the side.
where do you I wasn't going to go that far, but well, we did a 68 C10 for the same customer a few years ago. It took a metallic brown, almost black, and we took all that aluminum trim and welded it, made it all one piece. And
I thought you were going to see you airbrushed it.
No. But we got rid of all the seams in it and that, and had it plated and that, and so I look at the trim on these square bodies and that, and I'm like, man, they fit like shit every single bit of it, and so trying to build a high end version of that. So yeah, that's what kind of led into all that stuff and that. So, but it's just one of those things of where do you stop?
Have you gotten, what stage are you at with that?
We're in body work right now on the truck.
So you've been able to get that thing to where it's just
That's
one
we
fluid.
It's been a bit of
line?
a struggle. I mean, we've reshaped cab corners. We cut the front of the bed sides and pulled them level with the cab, and just it's been there's a lot going on.
The
there.
back of the cabs flow with the doors and the bed.
Yeah, everything
Great.
flows. But
Well,
that will look wild on
Fact
that.
it goes 45-degree angle.
Part
See,
of
that is
part of the problem with that truck too is, and I've never done. I've done, I don't know, probably 8 builds for this guy, but like every one of them is a car that it gets bought at auction. It's done already. Like there's never been like, I'll find like an awesome project, like rust-free patina, original paint. It's like, no. And then next thing there's, $40,000-$50,000 car that came from auction showed up that's been restored twice. And you're like, holy shit, and that's how this truck was. Got bought off eBay. And when we started stripping the thing, like the only thing left, and the only reason I saved the cab was just like, so we had something, but it's got every panel is new on it. And so when you start trying to fit that stuff and make it flow, it's just a disaster. Everything's been cut up and changed and gapped and, and then, and I look at stuff too, like what can we, okay, what was an issue with that last build, what we can change differently on this one. So we've gotten to where we remade all the fender mounts and everything there's no shims in it, you know what I mean? So everything is just remade where it needs to be. So we're not having these stacks of shims and stuff like that. I don't want to see stuff like, so, and that's where maybe just taking it to the next level, just getting rid of every spot weld in it and that, and the stuff that most people don't really know or care or what you did there. They just know it looks better for some reason, So,
yeah, that's going to be cool.
Looks right when you stare at it.
Yeah, that's just
those,
it. Yeah,
those trucks are very like rough around the edges.
Oh yeah, they're not. Yeah. So and I've noticed too, like we've got 2 Dodge D100s we're doing right now. Those things are rough. Like some of the shit that like Chevy, but back in those days, like they were trucks. Like there was no thought
but
to
even back in those days,
Mopar's a Mopar.
No, every
Dodge was like that. Like cousin you felt a little bit bad for you'd see on Thanksgiving or whatever. They were just
every
a little
every
slow.
one of them I've done. You can like fit your
everything about it was just a little fucking off.
Yeah, the bottom door gaps, you can fit like your thumb in every one of them. I don't know what it is. Like at every, Charger, CUDA, anything I've ever worked on.
Yeah,
the worst
if
door
you're
gaps.
trying to gap that, you can literally take a piece of 1 by 1
and put it at the bottom of the door. Yeah.
Stitch it in.
I know I have no friends in the Mopar world. I've gone pretty hard on it.
Well, they're beautiful cars.
But
I mean,
we're talking about trucks though. Like Ford and Chevrolet trucks back in the 60s and 70s and even 80s were sold at dealerships. The Dodges, I think you bought out of the Sears and Roebuck catalog. That was like, oh, I'd like a truck. I'll take a red one, and it's the Dodge from Sears.
Well, and that's
like they're just shitty.
That's another one we're doing that like it's an ugly looking truck, but that's what's cool about it, you know? So then
I told a customer that I didn't get a good response.
No,
Like, what do you think of this thing? I mean, dude, like you don't see a lot of them. They're just like so ugly. They're cool.
Yep.
Well, there was
he didn't pick up where I was going with that. No, not John.
There was that window with Dodge where it's like you don't know if it's a 67 or a 93.
Yeah.
Especially when it was a Power Wagon.
Yeah,
it was
like
like for 60 years.
Right.
Yeah, no, and it's no, they're ugly.
No,
That's
it's a
just
93. Oh, that's cool.
But I think that goes back to what we were just talking about like something different. You know, how many 67 Chevy trucks have you seen? So you're building a Dodge or something different. You know, so
Who's doing the Little Red Express?
yeah,
I can't believe nobody's done that yet.
Hey, I had that model.
Everybody had the model.
It was. I didn't think it was
How
cool
has that
then.
not been fucking Hellcat swap? It just
I think
seems
it's
like
been done.
yeah, but I don't know if it would
That's a
be
different
like.
but done right.
No, that's a dude that's super into model trains.
I don't know if it would be cool though if
Tell
you
me that.
kept it a Little
That's a
Red
conductor
Express
right
because they're
there.
so like I don't know.
Where's
I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, that's a lotto winner. You get some lotto money out of that one.
No, not a
You don't
Little
think-
Rex. No. He's made his heart. That's hobby industry only.
So then, how did he get them? Like,
That's why none of them have been built yet.
yeah. Good point. Okay, we solved that.
Yeah.
Solved that one.
So I think the most requested question that we've received, it'd probably change your trajectory on your career as well, is just like, what's the update on the Suburban?
Oh, yeah.
So we've been working on it, but I guess down in Nashville, I was talking with Rod Parsons, who owns the carbon fiber C10 there.
Yeah.
I've known Rod for some years, and I guess when we picked that truck up, he had messaged me about it. So he asked me in Nashville, he goes, "Can I buy that thing finally?" So I've got to put a phone call into my customer and see if he's willing to sell that to Rod.
I tried buying it before you even got started on it.
Well, I get to build it though if Rod buys it.
Dude,
he said,
carbon
so.
fiber Suburban.
No, yeah, it would, but yeah, it's
That's stupid.
we've got it.
That's the dumbest thing you've said.
It's sitting on the chassis and got an LS in it and all that, and we've been working on it. But yeah, not at the pace I'd like to, you know. So I got to see if I could put that together. We'd get to build it and finish it, and actually at a good pace, you know. So
You could just leave it like it is on the outside.
well, that's how it's staying. Yeah. That was the
That
whole.
looked a good-looking truck.
Yeah, basically.
God, I hate you for finding that.
That thing's got about enough room. It's got barn doors on the back, right?
No tailgate.
Where are we going with this one? Keep going.
You know what could go in there.
Yeah.
Well, that was.
It'd be a tight fit, but it'd fit. I don't know if you could do spare tires. You could do the Miata for itself.
Oh, I thought you were going. I thought you were going with the doodle. I thought you were
Like a
going
mini
doodle.
hauler.
I thought you were going doodle on that one. To be honest with you.
Oh, Doodle will be in the front seat when he goes to the events for sure. But tell me that wouldn't be cool. Seeing Phil ride around in that Suburban.
With the Miata.
Miata and so.
That'd be like.
And the
Remember
Doodle-
that? What was that? Was that?
Doodle with some driving
Was that
goggles on?
a mask? Was that a mask car? Remember when we were kids? You had the. It was like there was the boat or something that went into the. Was it
And
mask?
Shot out the back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mask.
something like that, where the Miata like nestles itself
Inside the
into
Suburban.
it.
Yeah, almost like the Miata inserted itself.
Maybe you,
into the
yes,
back of the Suburban.
maybe you make it electric too, and it like clicks in and it
Yeah.
like charges off the gas engine, make it diesel
Like you had to back up
Yeah.
and go in,
Yeah.
back up and go in.
like a bunch of times.
I was hoping I could get a Miata as a rental car, but that didn't happen. So I thought that'd be great to pull up here, and they don't rent those apparently.
No, they don't.
No, they're fucking race cars.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
We did.
Make sure your SCCA membership before you can get
Well,
one.
there's an area of Chicago that you might be able to find rentals of those in on the north
Boys
side.
Town?
Yeah.
Wrigleyville.
We did a mystery car as our rental car, right? So the whole time, like, oh, what the fuck is it going to be? What am I going to get? So I guess it was supposed to be an electric car, and I was like, I don't want that. So they ended up giving me a brand new GMC Terrain or something like that. It's got, I don't know, like 300 miles on it. I was like, oh, fuck it. Oh,
really?
Awesome. So I got the cheapest price for a brand new car.
said those things will jump.
I'm gonna do that more often though. It's like $170 for 4 days for a brand new fucking car.
I think we should see if it jumps.
Yeah.
We could do.
That'd be
I don't know if I got
It's
the
in the
extra
name.
insurance.
well,
on it.
we've got to do so for these podcasts. You need the a little teaser or something. Or
We should jump the terrain
Yeah,
for the teaser. We've got a ramp right out there.
it's all about the views. So if you want YouTube and all that, that's
That's what you got to do, right?
yeah. You got to do it for the gram.
Josh got a Polestar for the last rental car.
We did that that was a budget decision.
Well, that's
It
what
was.
this was.
You weren't there. We were trying to make financially prudent decisions.
You can't even say the words.
I said it exactly like financially prudent. It took me a minute to think of it, but I got it.
That's the worst piece of shit that's probably ever.
I don't even know what
been
is it?
put on the
It's
Volvo's
streets.
electric car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
Volvo doesn't even take credit for it. They called it Polestar, so nobody would know they built it.
Yeah,
I don't like. I'm surprised they even rent electric cars. Like, who the fuck wants to do
they're
it?
cheaper,
on
too.
on the way over here.
I'm serious.
There's a Tesla right in the middle lane on the way over here with his hazards on. He's waving people around him like he ran out of battery. Like I just can't see you wanting to rent that. And
No, I'm
deal with
I mean,
that. Yeah.
I can't stress to you enough the poor quality of this car.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to compare it to. Like, I've never been in anything that's that big of a piece of
I can
crap.
compare it. This is the exact scenario, right? We've all celebrated the holidays around Christmas time, right? And we've all wanted that badass RC car, but we've all got that wired RC car that only turns right.
That's a good fucking comparison.
You've had that
Yeah.
aunt or somebody that's
It's
like,
not
I
a
got
yeah, right.
You got
And it turns right
one,
only?
The one
Yeah.
from Kmart or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
for left
so
only.
you're
Maybe
saying
it's
like
left only.
Yeah, the Porsche Taycan. That's the Traxxas.
Yes.
Right.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
1/5 scale.
Yeah, and this thing is
92
like,
miles an hour, real time.
like, fucking lights don't try to turn it left. It turns right. This thing sucks.
And it's got a wire connected to the.
In this day and age.
That's as disappointed as we were getting in that. You should have seen the fucking remote that was made, like the key fob. I
It
swear,
looked like a Lego. It was like
You
like
bought an Alibaba.
it was a Wish.com car.
yeah, it looked like one of those YouTube fucking videos of the guy who bought the cheapest car on Amazon.
Yes.
Like the unboxing of it. Fuck that thing.
Yeah. I don't think we're getting a sponsorship for this one.
Oh, good.
That's fine.
I wouldn't rep that company. That's the
What if the Swedish people brought like to the table.
Swedish meatballs.
IKEA.
Yeah.
Yeah, but could
The
you
massage.
Yeah, don't fuck around with the Swedes.
Yeah, well,
there's
a normal Volvo is a decent car, right?
life or death.
A lot of positives.
Life or death. Can you live without the meatballs? If somebody said to you,
I don't think I've ever had one.
If somebody said
about just meatballs or all the Swedes in general.
Somebody
they got a lot of wins in their column.
Somebody said to you today, as if there's a line in the sand moving forward, there will be no more Swedish meatballs. Could you?
What am I giving up for it? Or is it just an announcement? There's
Yeah,
no more
it's
meatballs?
an announcement.
Oh, I could just keep going. That's
Yeah,
not that big of a
right. It
deal.
wouldn't have a major impact on your life, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. Never tried. I'm Italian, so they should be in a red sauce. I've never tried a Swedish meatball.
Yeah, because that's the way you should eat a fucking meatball.
In red sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
at that point,
Accomplishing some really high level stuff here.
that point
I think
you
we are.
made, I get that, but that's just like picking something random that anybody could do without. But
Well,
the Swedish people themselves, like them, there's a lot of things. You take the Swedes out of, but the whole entire thing falls like a house of cards.
You think so?
Telling you, they're the epicenter of a lot of things.
I will say I'm not educated enough to. I'm not going to make that claim. So I'll.
All right, back to cars.
Yeah. Let's,
That's I think where Spotify came from.
really.
You're making that up, I think.
No, I'm pretty sure it is.
Right,
And we
yeah.
can Google it and see.
He makes up a lot of shit.
Man, if they brought a lot to
Man,
the table.
you guys make fun of me a lot about things, but
No.
If I-
Hey, I'll tell you this.
Usually you're extremely confident when you're making
I will tell
something
you
up.
this, Josh, and this is a compliment to you, that I had a conversation over the weekend about if I were on a game show, right, and you had the opportunity to phone a friend and I needed an answer to a question, you would be probably my number one. Now, granted,
Spotify was founded in 2006 in Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay, now I followed that up with the fact that you know just useless, stupid shit,
Right?
but you know things.
I know lots of things.
Right.
Small.
You knew
things.
that. You
I
knew that. See, that's the thing. If somebody asked me if I was on the game show and they said, from what country did Spotify originate from?
Sweden.
Yeah. I wouldn't
What
know.
is
I wouldn't know.
What is Sweden?
I'd have probably said Bangladesh. No, I wouldn't have said that.
Surely you wouldn't.
No. I would have said it was the United States.
Spotify? Yeah, no. It comes from Sweden. 2006. There. Everybody knows that.
You know that.
We could, now, obviously, we've gone off the rails.
Have we?
But that's really what makes it interesting for at least the ones in the room doing it. First car and a story about that car.
Embarrassingly enough, my first car I think was a '97 Honda Civic. So
My first car was a 97 Honda Civic. What color was it?
red.
Oh, mine was red.
Oh, God.
But it was a DX.
So was
Mine was a 1.5.
mine was a DX too.
Yeah.
So,
This is where-
and I wanted the EX, but I couldn't.
I know. My dad
I-
would buy me the EX.
I got this. It only had like 14 or 15,000 miles on it when I got it, and it was a good little car. I only had it for a year or so, but I remember I was going to work one morning. This was the first shop I worked at. It was like 45 minutes from my job, but from my house, and I don't know. I guess I must have been out drinking or something the night before, and I had to be at work at like 7 a.m. So I'm just cruising down the fucking highway, and one of these lowboy tractor trailers like comes out, in front, and I see it too late, and I hit the brakes, and I must have slid 300 feet and just put the nose of that thing under this lowboy.
Dude, I thought you were going to say you did like...
watching Fast and Furious.
I thought you were going to say you're like...
Low boys.
But, well, I saw the tractor. I just didn't see the 50-foot of trailer behind it. So, but
Deceptive.
yeah, and luckily it didn't, like, I drove it to work. The bumper in the back seat and drove it to work and that. And but yeah, I shortly sold it after that and got that S10. That was
The two of you with your fucking Civics.
But now, in full disclosure, people that have listened to this podcast long enough will know that the Civic was actually not my first car. The Probe was my first car, but that was short-lived. That only lasted about 3 months.
Well,
How many cars did you wreck in your career?
The Probe was...
What do you mean by wreck?
The Probe
Total?
counts for two.
Two.
Probably.
No, I totaled two. I totaled the Pontiac 6000, 1986, front-wheel drive, four-door, white, maroon interior. That was a ran red light. Lost. Then the Ford Probe GT. That was
you're racing on
street
the
racing.
highway?
Yeah. hit a Mercedes at 80 plus, lost. And then the Civic, and I kept the Civic for a long time. So it only took me two total cars to learn.
I can remember too. I ordered
a couple ahead of him.
Stop. Blaze is
Phil's over here like talking shit like he's never had himself a little fender bender. You were clearing motherfuckers on the highway in a 3/4 ton Suburban back in the day.
What year was that Suburban?
I mean, murders.
It had to be
86.
95.
Yeah.
We had
In his defense, the ABS
It was
brakes. Do you remember
horrible.
that?
Like, you'd just be going 35 miles an hour, you'd touch the brakes.
Gung, 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 gung.
And like 3 miles later, you finally got the thing stopped.
Really?
It was a
I think it was a 90. We had a 90 2500 4-wheel drive Suburban, but my brother drove that all through high school, and at that, like, it was fucking nasty when it came to be my truck. So that was how I ended up with the Civic. I'm like, I'm not driving that thing, you know. But
what did he do in it?
it just it's just
tell you what I do at
disgusting. You know, it was just
16.
disgusting inside. So yeah, and then that Civic, I can remember the first shop I worked in, the first day, like I went and interviewed. I remember I had an exhaust system I ordered for it, and it was coming in that next Friday. So I asked for that next Friday off already, and he's like, "Are you like fucking kidding me? Like, I just hired you, and you're asking for a day off already?" He's like, "Fuck no, yeah,
it's an HKS."
You know, and I just experienced that recently with the guy we hired. He before he even started, he was asking if he could have a day off, and I was like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, no." So yeah, I was that kid. Yeah,
Dude, the 90 Suburban, I rocked the 90 Suburban for several months.
I wish we had that thing still for what
That was
it
a
would be worth
mean
now.
fucking
Like,
machine. It was
tank.
It was the UIV.
Yeah,
Ultimate
I mean,
inconspicuous vehicle.
yeah, because it didn't belong in 1990, right? That was a 1970s style
Right.
vehicle.
Yeah, they ran it. They ran it a little long.
They ran it like 2 years after the pickup truck.
Yeah, I
right?
think they started the trucks in '88, and they ran.
Yeah.
the
You
Suburban
drove
in
around looking like
91.
yeah, it was a fucking.
But that was
I'm
like
machine,
a soccer mom vehicle, though. Still,
Yeah.
like, so, like, my mom
don't
drove
know.
this 2500 4-wheel drive Suburban.
They were big
Yeah.
in camper pulls, though.
And my
Big
dad
in
got
bumper
it because it
pulls.
was like cheaper than the other ones. I think, like he was just frugal. Like, he'll buy the base model of everything. That's just like
You could fit it.
You've never totaled a car?
I totaled a car with the Suburban.
You've
One
never
in front of me.
You've never totaled a car that you were driving.
No.
You ever totaled a car you were driving?
Yeah.
You have. I know you have.
Yeah.
I guess we know who's badass.
Yeah, I learned pretty
You
quick
didn't try
that
near hard enough. Fucking go hard.
Or I was better.
I totaled the shit out of that car.
I was racing a kid.
Leave it all on the fucking.
Racing a kid in my S10 around a bank, and I hit a patch of sand, and that was the end of that fucking truck. Like, it's just 360s through the middle of the road into a telephone pole and bent the chassis and all that stuff. And, yeah,
Oh,
that was it.
those telephone poles will get you.
If
Like,
Blaze is listening right now, you drive the speed limit and be responsible.
It's
Yes.
when I drive with my
Follow
son.
the-
That's going to take right there for sure. 100%. He is on the straight and narrow right now.
It's so hard, like-
for that speech.
My kid, when I drive with him, he drives so slow, and I'm like, part of me, I don't know if it's because I'm in the car. I just think he's like cautious, and I'm like, it's fucking killing me. I'm like, we'll be on
Oh,
the
you better
highway, and he's doing
take it.
50, and I'm like,
Be
I want to
happy.
be like, speed the fuck
Yeah.
up, you know, like let me drive.
Yeah.
I remember
But, yeah.
getting in the car because I drove all sorts of shit go-karts and stuff when I was a kid, but getting in the car when you're 15 with my dad, I just remember his absolute impatience.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
You
Like,
can get it crack
Yeah.
across.
and I don't know, like it's definitely different. Like, because we were in all sorts of motorsport shit. We drove everything, but you get in a car and it's like things are looser and there's a lot of fucking shit going on. But
I wish Blaze had that. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I was pretty cautious in my
You got
the
the cross
15 to
between
16 year
Mario Andretti and Andrew Dice Clay living in my house.
That's
Nobody fucks with the dice.
yeah, that's a blend right there. That's like a floater on top. You know, that's,
This is my house.
No, I
45
mean,
years old.
I think I'd rather have the cautious side of it. Like, you know, you hear so many other kids in his school that get into accidents and shit like that. So I'm glad he is. I just like driving with him sometimes. I'm like, man, like, why is he going so slow? You know, I just don't.
Let him follow those. Yeah,
Yeah.
Let him go slow. Yeah. You haven't been to court yet?
I haven't had to go to court for my kid.
That's
no.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, wait, it's dude. Nobody ever tells you how fun that is.
Well, I was shocked.
The second or third time you have to do it.
I was shocked at how low the donation is to the police department.
That's it. That was a deal we worked out.
You think?
Yeah.
You think they listen to this?
Probably not, but it was shockingly low.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll do it again. I'll double it if I have to next time.
I'm sure you will have to.
Best piece of advice that you've ever received?
I think probably whether it was a direct piece of advice or not, like from my dad, is really just treat people the way you want to be treated. I think that kind of goes a long way in business to just, I'm just conscious of that all the time. Like, if this was my car, or I paid money for this part, just basically just treat it like it's your own or how you would want to be treated. I think that can go a long way, so.
Starting out, not knowing all the different companies out there, what surprised you as one of the shittiest chassis manufacturers out there?
Is that scripted on there? Is that...
They wrote it down. I had to ask.
Okay. Yeah, we just read this.
It's been a while since I tried to slide one in, Who's some of the worst car builders out there?
What other questions?
Shout out to Vinny. You want to talk about, you talked about getting there early and stuff. You want to talk about somebody that doesn't get to the show early? That'd be Vinny.
Yeah.
What time's Vinny rolling in?
And he also calls
Whenever
when
the fuck
sees
he
it.
wants to.
Yeah.
Oh, Vinny on Troy. And
Vinny's a bully, dude.
Vinny is a bully.
Yeah. The first time I met him, I was like, he's picking on me.
Yeah, I think we all ganged up that we could take him.
Yeah.
All of us, though. All of us
Yeah,
ganged up.
you got to watch out for.
And you get a crack.
There's a shank. There's a foreign object there.
Yeah. He's Mexican. He's fucking do something.
Some good times hanging out. He brings the party though. That's for sure.
Yeah, Vinny fucking kicks.
That's
ass.
why he doesn't get there till 10 or 11 in the morning.
Because he brings the party the night before.
I was
Dude, Vinny in Vegas will ruin your entire SEMA. Am I right?
Oh, because you're a pussy if you go home.
Yeah. He has a way of guilting you while being entertaining enough to hang out with him all night long.
And he makes you keep drinking.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. He, I'll tell you, I think he's mellowed down a little bit. I
fucking hope so.
I think his the new girlfriend's got
he's
him mellowed down a
down.
little bit.
That fucking ankle bracelet he
I've
got.
known him for 20 plus years, so he's definitely mellowed down way more since back in the day. But
The first time I hung out,
he's not catching two.
I think the first time I hung out with him like on my own, we're in downtown Nashville one year, and we're out drinking and partying, and we're walking through the streets. Next thing I know, his fucking shirt's off, and he's dancing with the street performers and all this shit. It's like 2 a.m. I'm like, what the fuck is this dude doing?
Vinny's loose like a chick like that. That shirt will fucking come off in a heartbeat.
But you know what? He's an awesome dude, and he's a hell of a fabricator too, and this everything like. And I often wonder, he doesn't, he's not as worried about getting, like we were talking about earlier, maybe getting that car out there and winning this award. He's just getting shit done and getting paid for it and living life, you know what I mean? And there's something to be said about that too, I think, but so.
He's a very modest dude. I like Vinny a lot.
Yeah. No, and he puts out, I look at the stuff he's putting out, the metal work and everything. It's pretty on point, but.
He's got a great team of guys. He's an awesome dude. Favorite car movie? Sorry, lost my train of thought. I was thinking about Vinny with the shirt off.
So I don't know, if this is even necessarily a car movie, but Back to the Future. I mean, it's got a lot of cool fucking cars in it. It's based around a car, and I think so many movies I watch, whether they're a car movie or not, I'm paying attention to the cars, you know what I mean? And that's a cool thing with that movie and a lot of movies, I think.
Stand by my earlier statement. The DeLorean was not the star of that show. It wasn't.
Another Tacoma popped up on Bring a Trailer.
Oh, the Tacoma.
That fucking Yoda.
Blue with the gray stripes.
It is cool.
Chrome roll bar, Casey highlights on top.
Yeah. I like those.
Cool.
That's a car I think is going to be, or truck, it's going to be worth some bucks.
You buy it and then you realize that, this thing's going to be badass. Oh, it's a shitty 1980s economy pickup truck.
It'll keep running forever, but it's got 36 horsepower.
We had, before we had that Suburban, my dad had, it's '83 or '84 4Runner, or I guess it was a Land Cruiser. And it was brown with like the tan and orange stripe on it, and it had like the tan and orange and brown interior. And
That's
it was,
cool.
At the time, it was the ugliest thing you ever seen in your life, right?
And now it's cool.
Exactly. You try to find one of them now. I saw one at a show back in July. It was like fucking $35,000 the guy wanted for the thing or something like that. I'm like, now it's the fucking coolest thing ever, but you don't want to, you know.
While we're on the subject of Toyotas, does Toyota market directly to the terrorists, or the terrorists seek those out? Because why is that Toyota pickup truck the vehicle of choice for all terrorists? Yeah, that's a thing. That's a known thing. White Toyota pickup truck.
All right, well, how about this? So why is every like Amber Alert you see on the highway a silver car? Like, have you noticed that?
Like, I was going to go Silver Impala.
Yeah, like that. There was one today. Did you see that one? There's I think it was either a Silver Impala or like a silver Chevy Cruze or something like that. It was flashing on the highway when I was driving around here today. But yeah, it always seems to be some silver car.
I'm gonna have to keep my eye on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Terrorists and Toyota pickup trucks. Huh?
Oh, that's a huge thing. Yeah, Google search that a little bit. It'll take you down a path.
I'll do that.
Yeah. Not that it's relevant for anything.
Oh, it's interesting.
About.
It's interesting.
Bucket list car that you want to still build for you or a customer.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
I know. That's why I asked it. I
Well,
bring the hard questions.
one of
It's like
mine-
60 minutes, dude.
One of mine I already have, so that's why I'm like trying to think. Like, what's a car?
Do you think you could bring a 97 Civic DX to the SEMA floor and bring the heat?
That I don't want to build. I don't want nothing to do. Bucket list car. I mean, I've always liked like a 36.3 window. I think I'd like to do something like that. Maybe they're just they're awesome cars, you know.
Cole Foster action.
Yeah, something like an early kind of custom like that. But yeah, the other. I mean, I've always loved 32 2-doors. I have two of them now, so I don't. They're kind of like they still are bucket list because they're not done yet, and I don't know if they'll ever be. So, but yeah, I think the 36 is definitely a car that's got some killer lines in that. And, you know,
You doing fenders or no fenders on those?
the 32, they're fenderless. So it's because I don't have fenders, and I think too the stance I wanted of both cars aren't going to allow fenders on it. So
Yeah, I like a 32 too. I like it a lot.
yeah, I don't know. And I'm not sure where, like, I don't even know why I like them, if that makes sense. You know, like what car kind of sparked that. But yeah, I've always liked them. And
They just look cool. There is no car. There's not an iconic one.
yeah,
out there.
yeah, it's not, you know.
It just is a good looking car.
But yeah, I've got one. And then last summer I had the opportunity to pick up an original paint, like one that was in the barn from the 70s. So I was like, I don't need another one, but I can't pass that up. So I ended up with two. So.
What's in your pocket?
Considering I took a rent-a-car here, nothing. My wallet.
You guys flew in?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll give you a
A
pass.
wallet.
Anybody
Yeah.
that flies.
Yeah, I have a shitty pocket dump.
You'd be surprised.
Normally-
Josh carried a blade through airport security recently.
so you know what?
It became a new hobby to see if I could get on the plane with a knife.
We recently,
Turns out you can do it a lot.
I guess it was the middle of August. So I went to Italy for a week, and my keychain, I have a small Crenshaw on it, right? And I took it with me. It was in my carry-on the whole fucking time, and I'm like, and this is like the third time that's happened, and I was like, how do I keep making it through airport security with this knife on me every time?
Dude,
you
it's
know?
all of it. Most of it's show. Like that whole show of force thing. They don't check most of the shit.
but
if it's small, like a small firearm or something.
I think I'm gonna go. I think the next step, if I can get a 380 on the plane.
Yeah.
When we got to the airport,
Bring a grenade.
Yeah, that's
when we got to the airport the other day, I left my janitor keychain in the car and just took my car keys off it because I was like, this will be the trip where it gets taken away finally, you know? So I was like, I just left it there. But yeah.
What's funny though is I remember going through, and I think for some reason I brought some small wrench. I was going somewhere to do something. It was just like a small, 11-30 seconds or something little, and they confiscated it that you cannot bring certain tools, but you can walk through a small fixed blade.
Yeah.
They just miss it.
And I don't.
But a wrench.
A couple of years ago, I was going to LA, and I have my toothbrush is like aluminum, and you can change the heads out, right? I bought
It seems a little
Well, I got my
Sounds
toothbrush
cool.
taken away out of
Cool.
my carry-on because it was made out of metal. Huh. Yeah. So they, you know, I guess you could stab somebody with. I don't fucking know, but yeah. So
That in the movies.
Favorite, we went to SEMA like 3 or 4 years ago when they put the metal detectors in.
Yeah.
Guy walks through, drops a pocket knife. Security guard reaches down, picks it up. Here you go.
here you
All right,
go.
Go on.
Go
through.
right in. Yeah.
Super efficient.
It was a pain in the ass there. Like it made the line so much longer, but I'm surprised it took them so long to do that. Like when you look at, you know, the shit that goes on at so many events around the country that it took them
Yeah.
that long to do that, you know?
It's not real thorough, though.
No.
You know?
Well, and I think as they open stuff up to the public, maybe it's more of a concern. Like maybe it
Yeah.
wasn't really an issue. With,
The thing I just noticed at this, like these concert venues, they require you to have clear, like purses,
Yep.
or if you're a fanny pack guy like Josh, would have to wear a clear fanny pack. And you're like, dude, I'm looking at all these
defeat the
people,
purpose.
and they have these like large backpacks. They're clear, and there's a shitload of shit.
You
in
can't
it.
see anything
And you're
in
like,
there.
dude, you
Yeah.
could have like a small semi-automatic firearm tucked in between the things that are
all of
in
that
there.
security thing is not for like the guy that's trying to smuggle it into a clear backpack, right? It's for the guy that's got the suicide vest on, that's waiting in line. It's like, oh fuck, they're checking. I'll find another venue.
So that's going to be the thing that's the deterrent, you think?
Clear suicide vests is coming next.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just like this. It falls under just stupidity, in my opinion. It's like
But at the same time,
it's like going through the motions, you know. I feel
exactly.
like.
But think about how many times have we heard about the, attack on U.S. soil that the guy just got through security? It doesn't happen. They don't go through fucking security. They do something other fucking stupid. They climb up into a fucking
Building or
hotel
something,
window
yeah.
and shoot from a fucking distance,
Yeah.
or do other dumb shit like that. It's just to make all you common folk feel safe. Oh shit, they're checking. Yeah, we're gonna be good here. Yeah, they're check. I can tell they're checking that guy right there. He's There's nobody getting in here.
Yeah, but I noticed
It doesn't stop anything. It's
walking
fake.
into that festival Sunday, the amount of people with clear backpacks on.
Isn't
It's
that kinda
like, yeah,
weird?
It's weird. Yeah, I just like.
And now they're like stylish too.
Yeah, I know. So, well, I mean, we live in such a small town; it's not like issue. But I know that's a thing with what kids in school like having to have clear backpacks and that at some schools and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
If you've got metal detectors, why do you need the clear backpack?
yeah. So, and I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I almost feel like more schools should have metal detectors. A lot of them don't. I don't think ours does, but yeah.
It's because you can't do like the obvious thing that prevents
Yeah.
something. You
I
gotta-
understand. I understand the metal detectors. I'm telling you what we really need, and this is going to be controversial.
Yeah.
Super controversial.
Here we
need
go.
more fucking bullies.
Yeah, it's
100%.
Not mean bullies. We need old school '90s bullies.
bullies.
Yeah.
That kept you from doing dumb shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
You institute, like, if we could maybe create, wonder if you could do, like, you had Blackwater and all these other security forces. What if we created our own company that just hired out bullies? Little overweight, redheaded, fucking shitty kids. 13-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, but what do you do in the situation where it's not even somebody that goes to that school anymore? You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Like that's
He would, but if he would have got bullied a couple
back
years
then,
ago,
I would have taught him. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Got him in line.
Yeah.
So you're thinking like Steve Buscemi-ish. Like, what was that? Was it Billy Madison? Or he's
Oh,
like
he's got
20, 30
the
years
list.
later,
Yeah,
he comes
yeah,
back. I don't know that. I think that's Hollywood shit.
No, I mean, you're not going to stop what happened for the last 5 years of no bullying, right? That's going to be difficult. But we could make a line in the sand, and going forward, all kids will be bullied to the appropriate level to grow tough, to not do stupid shit.
It's going to be a tough one for a lot of people to swallow, but it's.
I don't want kids to be bullied
I'm
to a
with
part
you.
where they harm themselves, but you
Right.
get bullied to a part you're like, you know what?
Fall in line.
I guess
It'd be a tough thing to.
I guess at this school, purple hair is probably a little bit much.
Right.
Maybe I'll back that off because Steve, the fat redheaded kid, will not stop fucking teasing me about it.
Yeah, that's
The evening out of
right.
This
It'd be a
is
tough
not
one. There's
gonna
got
be good.
somebody's got to
People
regulate
are not
it.
Going to
but-
like this, by
yeah.
the way.
And they
Edit it
can,
all out.
yeah, they can edit it out. But I
Just
see,
leave it in.
right, I
Maybe
see
we
where
should
I
leave it
see
in.
where you're going with it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. There's something there.
We've talked about it all the time here in our little environment. the bullying that goes on between the three of us keeps us from doing things.
Doing things.
You would. It's
Not
beneficial.
believe the shit Josh would show up wearing it and keep his ass in line.
Now,
beneficial.
Now,
It's beneficial. I think it's made the
for
three of us.
everyone,
I
if
don't
we were going to go down that path,
Right.
because there's been some apparel choices on your part over the last 5 years that probably wouldn't have been the best.
Such as, and I've conceded.
You mean
to
to name
this.
brands?
Well, I mean, just give me an example.
Tom's shoes.
I still wear them
Do you wear them around here?
reluctantly, but I will. I think twice about when and where.
You don't wear the old school Toms.
No,
Right,
but I
you
wouldn't.
You've
I wouldn't,
off
but
into a little
yes.
slipperish, a slippery.
To your point, like, yeah, I feel like in a dark place in my life, like I
you
could
would
have gone
a little, yes,
out of sheer comfort, maybe.
That's because
maybe
the
a-
crease is already in them.
a little, maybe a loafer with no sock.
And I thank you guys for that.
Right.
Like, honestly,
I mean,
I really do.
there's some, I don't know.
I'll
Like,
have a beard till the day I die because I
Yeah,
can't
you-
shave my face.
my
Not a good looking face.
my younger son,
Not at all.
he
It's off-putting.
he's one of these
At
kids. He just my younger son gets along with everyone, right? He's got a ton of friends in school, like he's doing well, but he dresses like how the fuck he wants to dress, and he doesn't care. So I guess he wore a pair of Birkenstocks to school, and he got shit about it. He's like, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna wear them again tomorrow. Like
Right.
it is what it is, you know. So yeah, it's just
But
like
that in and of itself is a growing, teaching, learning
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
For
It's
him
just
to be like,
There's two ways that could have gone. He could have been like, I'm never wearing these Birkenstocks
Yep.
again. But it's making him probably a stronger person. He's got like a strong will. And my son's similar. He's super big into skateboarding. He's the only kid in school that wears like the tall socks,
yeah.
Vans.
Well, that's how me and my
dinky
kid wears a lot of
shorts.
that stuff. Where every other kid's wearing a pair of Under Armour fucking
Exactly.
workout short. They just
And
they
I
don't
look at
really
all
get
those
it,
kids
yeah.
and I'm like, hey, like if like you rewind, like the tables would have been turned because every one of you little fuckers are wearing the same damn
Yeah.
thing.
That's-
so to me,
yeah.
it's like it's kind of cool, but
What
like it makes you a
amazes-
stronger person. I feel like because it gives you some identity.
Some of the shit that's coming back, like I mean, he's buying, you know, not Janko jeans, but big ass fucking jeans
Oh,
and shit.
hell
And it's
yeah.
like the stuff that I wore in fucking seventh grade, you know.
badass.
And it's like, I mean, this is like cool looking. Okay,
Yeah, you can fit like a 2 liter of
Yeah.
Mountain Dew in the
Hopefully
Hey, look at
Airwalk's
this.
coming back.
yeah.
I feel like you're trying to make a case for being an individual where you
Yeah.
can start trying some things. Start across the street.
I'm
Starbucks
not-
is still off the table, right?
There's two things. I'll promise you right now. There's two things that are never gonna happen in this fucking facility and with me. Never showing up. I will never own a pair of slip-on Toms, so forget about it. Okay?
Okay.
And there will never be a fucking pumpkin spice latte. It's just not fucking happening.
just in this
Dude, I don't
facility?
care if it's iced.
Will there ever be a pumpkin spice latte touch your lips?
Never. Not even if
Ever.
not even if there's a fire and it's the only thing to prevent me from burning.
What about
Forever,
a pumpkin
ever.
scone?
Oh, I know I don't like scones. A cinnamon coffee cake, maybe. Maybe. I will.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It could make you. Maybe it would make you a tougher person. So
How?
just drink. Yeah, maybe we
I
try
doubt
it.
that.
Maybe you drink it and then we make fun of you, and maybe you're like, you know what, guys, sticks and stones. I'll drink what I want.
I don't know if I've ever had a pumpkin spice latte. I do drink Starbucks occasionally, though.
Fall is upon us.
What a delightful treat.
He's got his tall boots ready to come out. Nice chunky cable knit
I
sweater.
fucking hate you guys. Even if it was like, if I was going down like a windy road and it was a perfect autumn day,
I think
and the
you would. If
leaves
you were
are
in
turning,
Vermont-
and
if
the
you were in
leaves are
Vermont
turning
by
in
yourself.
Vermont, and there's a little Starbucks all made out of reclaimed wood,
And we were
on
nowhere
the
to be found.
corner, Yeah,
And we were nowhere to
I
be found.
still wouldn't.
I doubt it.
I
No,
still
think
would
you
not.
I think you would be like,
Nobody's looking.
No, I wouldn't. I'd get a black coffee.
nah, you'd drink it in shame. You'd drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. This has been quite the journey.
It's been a fun night.
Yeah.
I had fun.
Instagram at Creative Rod and Custom.
Yep.
Website, creativerodandcustom.com
Yeah, that probably needs some updating, but yeah.
with a K.
Yeah.
Oh, it was good.
That's my homemade website, yeah. So,
Where are you going to be at next? What's the next show?
you know, I don't know. We're debating on going down to the Gathering this year, but kind of on the fence about that, and have a build we were debating on bringing up to SEMA, but it's still at upholstery, so I don't really know if that's something we're going to do. So kind of playing it by ear. We don't have anything set, and don't always know if that's a good idea. You know, like sometimes having a set show gives you like a focus or kind of having a deadline. Yeah, get it done. Sometimes stuff drags on because of that. But at the same point, I think that burns people out a lot. So we're kind of trying a little bit different not to put deadlines on stuff. So
come out to SEMA. We'll hang. Video keeps out way too late.
So maybe come out anyway, just whether car or no car, you know. So.
Well, it's been awesome.
Yeah, been a good time, dude.
Yeah,
we appreciate you coming out, man.
Thanks for listening to the Oil and Whiskey Podcast, an Ironclad original. We'll see you again next week.